and I don't remember his name. We'll just say Scott or whatever, right? Like, oh yeah, Mike Scott, as in
The DC,
two-star
the DCG.
General Deputy Commander of 3 Corps, Scott. Yeah. Oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Tracer Burn. I'm Dan.
And I'm Roger.
And while the audio listeners do not care, Raj,
Not even a little
the
bit.
viewers will notice here in a few minutes that during our discussion we are wearing completely different clothes than we are now.
Why is that, Daniel?
Because we are time travelers.
We are amateurs, not professionals, but we have learned the secrets of bending the space-time continuum.
We have. No, we haven't. But we did have some time constraints
Yes.
during our recording with our guest for today's episode, and so we came back today to finish things up.
We did indeed. So we present to you Army veteran, Mr. Bob Charles.
Enjoy. Bob Charles.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting down with us today, man. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Outstanding. So we'll get this started the same way we always do.
Okay.
Does your family have a history of service?
They actually do. According to my father, my great, maybe 3 greats grandfather was wounded in the Civil War, shot on sentry duty guarding a railroad. Possibly friendly fire, I'm not sure. But the story that he tells is he was shot through the cheek. And he was unconscious for some time on the railroad tracks there. And when he came to, or when they found him, apparently it had been long enough that, back then, infection was a leading cause of death on the battlefield.
It was awful.
Yeah. So there were, it's a little disgusting, but there were actually maggots had kind of cleaned the wound and kept, so he didn't get any infection.
No gangrene.
Now, it must have been his grandfather. So if it's my father's grandfather, that'd be my great-great-grandfather.
We're going to map this out, okay?
Yeah, eventually. But anyway, he remembered he had met the man once. And he remembered that his skin had grown back over, but he had a definite scar there, and it was much thinner. And so I think that's the first family member that I know served. My father was a naval reservist during the Vietnam War. Story for another time.
Okay.
But
what did he do? What was his MOS? What was his specialty?
That's a great question. He was a sonar operator on I don't know if the P3 was in service then, the Orions, but he was basically a sub chaser. So, he did that. I don't know a whole lot about it, except he told me a story that he stole a Jeep one time.
As one does.
As one does in the mid.
Was this Jeep used in the service of hunting submarines?
No, it was used in the service of acquiring cases of beer
that
for
sounds
his
about
fellow
right.
aviators.
Now that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, and then my uncle actually did it's either 2 or 3 tours in Nam.
Yeah.
So that kind of gets into, at some point that'll lead into kind of.
Was your uncle in the Navy as well?
He was a Marine. So
that's the Navy.
Yeah, that is the Navy.
That is
shots fired.
At least it is. It is when they win, like they did yesterday. The Marines will claim the Navy when they win.
That's funny how that works.
So 1 point. Anyway, so there is a history. My uncle was a Marine as well. He was an ROTC Marine at Dartmouth, and then commissioned, and I think he did his 4 years to pay back the tuition assistance, and then got out. So there's a semi-family history of it. Yeah.
So where are you from, and how did you end up in the service that you chose?
Great. So I'm originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Amish country.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I would love to tell you a great story about how I went on Rumspringa and never came back, but it wouldn't be true.
But you would party with them while they were on Rumspringa.
I would. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Southern Lancaster County, it's a hot place. It's happening on Saturday nights.
The horse and buggy races?
Yeah. So I graduated high school, went to college, Emory University down in Atlanta. They have a satellite campus in Oxford.
That's a pretty big transition.
It was.
Farm country to Metro Atlanta?
But no. So I got into Emory's satellite campus at Oxford. So Oxford is outside of Covington, and Covington is where they filmed In the Heat of the Night, that 80s
I remember.
show. So I actually grew up in Lancaster City. I was a city boy and went to college in the country. The only thing that we had in Covington, if I'm not mistaken, was a Waffle House, because you have to have a Waffle House.
Of course.
And I think there was a Piggly Wiggly.
That far north?
In Georgia.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
I got twisted up. Yeah,
No, not in Pennsylvania where I
Got
come
it.
from.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, but that was
Definitely in Georgia.
Yeah. So anyway, the whole thing about school was I drank a lot of beer and ate a lot of pizza, and chased after
As one does.
co-eds. So,
As one does.
As one does. So
Just for reference, what year was this that you went off to college?
1987. Yeah. Roger, you weren't even born yet, were you?
Hey, how dare you? How dare you?
Dan wasn't born.
I was in
I
school.
certainly was, yes.
Okay.
I was in school,
He
elementary
looks
school.
good, Dan.
I do.
Yeah, you look fantastic.
Well, it's just for men.
That's right.
No, it's the not caring anymore.
There you go. That's true.
Leading a stress-free
A lot less
lifestyle.
wrinkle lines. I see that.
He is out of what's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, anyway, college, I think I had a .64 GPA after my freshman year, or at least partially into my freshman year. So I decided I needed discipline in my life.
As a freshman.
Yeah. I was like, I need
Remarkable.
Right. I thought so. So I was like, the military will give me discipline. So I looked at it, Marine Corps. And everything I knew about the Marine Corps was from my uncle, who told me that basically what they taught you in boot camp was the first guy lays down over the wire and everybody else walks over top of him to get to the enemy. And I thought, nah, that's not me. Air Force, right? Thought Air Force. And I was like, well, if they're not going to let me fly jets, which they weren't going to, I wouldn't let me fly jets, even now. So I was like, if they're not going to let me fly jets, why would I want to join the Air Force? Then there was the Navy. And I'm gonna divulge something that is going to be very embarrassing. I am scared of big boats, and I don't know why.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I remember when I was a kid, we went up. My dad had a little. Anyway, that's another story.
We've had on airborne, paratroopers who are afraid of heights.
Oh, I'm absolutely scared.
We've had special forces dudes on that are scared of water.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
On dive teams.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I didn't like big boats. So I wasn't going to do the Navy. So it was the Army for me. So I came home. I went down to the recruiting station. This is a bonus for y'all. My recruiter's name was Staff Sergeant Horny.
Spelled exactly the same way.
Horney. Staff Sergeant Horny.
I have so many jokes that I'm just gonna keep them to myself.
Right. The best part was he wasn't even the most famous horny in his family. His brother, this is a true story, I can't make this up. His brother was a linesman in the AHL. So the American Hockey League.
Hockey, yeah.
So AHL is one step below the NHL, right?
Yeah.
So his brother was like, that's pretty big time. But could you imagine the stuff he took from fans as a linesman with the last name Horny on his jersey? So
and hockey fans are, we'll just say they're candid.
Yes, they can be poignant in their commentary. This is correct. So anyway, so Staff Sergeant Horny took me to the MEP station on the 22nd of December.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I raised my right hand, and I had delusions of grandeur of returning to college and becoming a political science major and advising the president on foreign policy. And which beer to drink, of course.
Right, of course.
So I went into the reserves first. So Army Reserves, and for those who don't know, most of the time, if you're going to do a reserve contract, it's based off of the types of units that are in your locality, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So reserves are mostly tend to be service support type units.
Yes.
National Guard can be combat units.
Yes. Didn't
Didn't have enough knowledge at that time for that.
Right. Just
So-
happy to be on the team.
Yeah, just happy to be here. Hope I can help the team. That was kind of it. So I joined a combat engineer unit.
But it was all about the discipline.
Discipline,
Yeah, yes,
absolutely
yes.
correct.
It was all about the discipline.
All about discipline. I needed discipline. And what I found, as I'm sure you guys will agree, is the Army doesn't give you discipline. If you have discipline, the Army gives you a structured environment in which to exercise personal discipline. I felt, and I kind of liked having the day mapped out for me. This is where you're going to go.
There is a comfort in that,
Right?
and security.
Right, yeah. So that felt good. So I raised my right hand December 22nd with a fever of 102 at the Mechanicsburg MEPS in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and started on my military career as an Army reservist in the Engineers. Basic training, summer of '88, Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Dix, okay. Yeah, back then. Yeah.
Alpha 426, cold steel.
You're dating yourself then.
I am.
Okay.
I am. Yeah, quite a
What
bit.
was your family's reaction to you enlisting, particularly in the Army, given the Navy heritage?
Right. So my father was adamantly against me joining the military. So this is circa 1987. So we're only a decade past, the Army was kind of like a last stop for losers. Like get it together. You're going to jail.
That's the end of the drafty era.
Yeah. So my father was incredibly against it.
Yeah.
There was the second time where he was against me with the military when I went active duty. So I did the reserves from 87 to 93. Got mobilized for Desert Storm. Did not go.
Real quick,
Go ahead. Sorry.
would he have felt differently if you joined the Navy? No, I mean seriously.
I don't.
Given the attitude towards the Army at the time.
Perhaps he would have. I think so. I know my uncle would have probably. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't go Marine Corps and I didn't go Navy. Maybe I should have. I don't know.
You were in the reserves.
Yes.
When the wall went down. So
No, wait. When all went down in 93, right?
No.
91. That's right. 91. Yes, I was. Go ahead.
So okay, I'm just asking, what was that like? What's going through your head? What?
Well, it's interesting because, basic training back then, all the focus was on NBC stuff, nuclear, biological, chemical, right?
Especially as an engineer.
Yeah. Every 5 seconds, the drills were screaming gas,
Gas.
and we're practicing getting our masks on. I mean, I think I literally had it down to less than 9 seconds to get it on, donned and cleared. At one point in time, it was kind of crazy. And, of course, then you come to the realization that's really just to keep you alive until the next guys can come in and take over whatever you're doing.
It's true.
Right. Very interesting. I guess at that point in time, I kind of felt like, I was a product of the Cold War generation, right? I was my youth, my younger days at the time. I was still only in my early 20s, but most of my life had been kind of like the big red menace.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the wall comes down and the Soviet Union starts to break apart. And, the deconstructing of the Soviet Union, you realize, wow, what were we really scared of?
Yeah.
So
It's almost like it was all a facade.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Like a very brittle outer shell.
Sure. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am a little ist. I know that. So, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, they did have nukes.
They did. Whether or not they were going to make it here or not, who knows?
No, that's fair.
A couple hundred of them probably would have.
So you watched the wall go down, and you said you were mobilized for Desert Storm, but didn't.
We
leave.
were mobilized for Desert Storm. That was interesting. So 75% of the Army's engineer assets, construction engineer assets, are reserve capabilities.
Yeah.
So on paper, our battalion was one of the strongest battalions
Right.
in the reserve component.
Yeah.
It's because our battalion commander was lying. He was falsifying drill reports.
There's that.
Yeah. So there were guys who were on the rolls who literally hadn't showed up in years.
Kind of a house of cards, right?
Yeah. So we ended up, we mobilized the unit, we moved the equipment, We met at a place called Fort Indian Town Gap, Pennsylvania.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to have the first sergeant's
Yes.
course there.
Yes, they
I
did.
mean, if you really want to call it a course, it was like a week.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot shorter back then.
Yeah.
You didn't need to know as much as you need to know now because there's a lot of meetings to go to for NCOs, senior NCOs now.
There's a lot of emails to check.
Yeah, way too
So many emails.
So many emails, so many meetings, so little time.
The blotter's only gotten longer.
Yeah. Well, there's more things to come across the blotter for now.
It's true.
Oh my gosh, CBD and all this other
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. I'm glad I'm gone. Sorry.
So
Get us back on track.
You guys got mobilized, and
Yeah.
your rally point was Indian.
40 in Town Gap. Yeah. So we got
Now,
there. Go
your
ahead.
commander.
Yeah.
At what point did they discover that he had been lying through his teeth?
Oh, pretty much when we all arrived. Like all the companies started arriving up there, and we realized that we were like 30% strength as a battalion.
Do you know? Obviously, you were still very young and
Oh yeah,
new
he
to the
was
whole
gone.
thing.
He was gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
at least there's that. I guess.
There
Well, I mean,
was
it wasn't.
accountability.
Well, there was accountability. It wasn't until I think so. Essentially, we started filling out with augmentees, which was really interesting. We got like some really interesting people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one guy who came who used to like basically self-confess to like, yeah, I check myself into the state mental hospital once a month to get some really good meds. So like, okay, like, yeah, it was a.
We appreciate your honesty.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It was, another guy was a drug dealer in Pittsburgh. So you remember you had the reserves and then you had the IRR.
Yeah. The inactive ready reserve.
Inactive ready reserve. So that's where they were pulling these bodies from.
Yeah.
Because other units, because we were on war footing,
Yeah.
other units had to.
Yeah.
Some folks did volunteer to come join our unit, but they were also literally pulling people off the street. Like the one guy was a drug dealer in Pittsburgh, and the cops rolled up in the corner, and he's like, "Am I under arrest?" And they're like, "No, you're going to war."
Yeah.
we have paperwork.
He's going to be the guy that lays down on the barbed wire.
I don't know, maybe, probably not him. He had other things. He had other plans going on the entire time.
that I believe.
Yeah. I was a little concerned. We gave him a weapon too. I said, whatever, It was a different day and age back then. So, but we didn't go. The best part was the demob. We demobbed at 89 days. 89 days. And I remember sitting in the theater as they brought, and there was special legislation passed because that first Gulf War was over so fast.
Yeah.
Right? Special legislation passed that everybody who was mobilized and activated for at least 90 days got veteran status and got all their stuff, which they told us in the theater on day 89 as they were releasing us. Wah, wah, wah. So not a whole lot of.
There's some chicanery and some nonsense that we did during the GWAT too that were
Sure.
pretty similar to that. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but
Yeah, but it was it was
not the first time.
No. I mean, let's be honest. And people always like to talk about government conspiracies, and I tell them I worked for the government for 27 years, and I'm telling you, your government is incompetent.
It's not smart
They're
enough,
not insidious.
Yeah.
Now they may be insidiously incompetent,
I think that's it.
but it's not intentional. It just sort of happens.
There's a thing called Hanlon's razor. So it's like Occam's razor, but it's Hanlon's razor, and I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but it's never chalk off to malevolence. What could be more easily explained with incompetence.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
That sounds yeah. So
For
go
your mobilization time, those 89 days.
ahead.
What were you guys doing?
Most of it we did. We were running equipment down to Bayonne, New Jersey. Our unit was supposed to. We had D7 dozers and stuff like that. If you recall, there was a huge berm along the Saudi border.
Yeah.
Our mission was going to be to plow through the berms and then push through the minefields and use the Mikliks and clear the minefields and basically create pathways for the armored divisions to go and do their thing.
We have spoken to a Marine grunt.
I was just going to say.
Who was like one of the first ones over the berm.
So Mr. Mike McCusker was
going through the minefield.
Yeah.
He was a force recon or recon platoon leader, one or the other. Or he was a commander. I'm sorry, he was a junior captain. So
Yeah.
apologies, but yeah, he was.
No, so we were. It was a great It was an incredible time. As you guys remember, 9/11 for us in 2001, right?
Yeah.
Kind of galvanized. 91 really galvanized us as well.
Yeah.
The swelling of patriotism. I remember we went out one night, partying a little bit. Young kids. We were in our 20s, living it up. Going to war, and went to a local watering hole, and they started to play. That's when Green's "Proud to Be an American" had just been.
Lee Greenwood. Yeah.
Lee Greenwood. Thank you. Had written that, and so I remember they stopped. Literally, the DJ stopped everything, and found out we were going to war. So he goes ahead and plays that, and the whole place. There's not a dry eye in the place, and so a lot of very nice girls came over and thanked us for. It was a wonderful evening.
Yes.
Yes. God bless America.
The things you do for your country. Okay, but you did say that you separated in 93.
Well, I left. So I left the reserves in 93.
Yeah.
I separated and joined the active duty the same day.
Got it. Okay.
So I had been. College was. I basically was. Jill's not going to like this part. I was engaged. We did not work out because I was waiting for Jill.
Right.
My wife of 26 years. So.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
But I had kind of built this life, and I had bills, and I had one income, right? So it's like I didn't know what I was going to do. So basically in 93, I decided to go active duty because I couldn't think of any other place where I could pay 100% of my income could go to paying my bills, and I'd still have a roof over my head and food in my belly.
Did you get your poli-sci degree in order to keep on the track of advising the president on foreign policy and beer?
Slick Willie,
yeah. No, so no, I did. At that time, I had 93 or 90. I had 96 brick and mortar college credits when I left, and I had changed. I was now going to be a history major with a secondary education and a philosophy minor. So yeah. And I ended up with a sociology degree. So no, I went. I did promise my mother when I went active duty in '93 that I would finish my college degree one way or another, and I did. So the interesting part was I go back to MEPS again, right? And now I'm qualified. I'm a 62 Juliet at that time, which for those who don't know, I think it's a 12 November now or something, but there was this crazy piece of equipment called a C truck, small emplacement excavation, so literally SEE truck. It was a Mercedes-Benz cab on a Mercedes-Benz engine and with an international cab with a case front end loader and a Heinz backhoe on it, and it literally looked like a little Tonka toy. And it was used for digging tow missile fighting positions, two-man fighting positions, things like that. Or, if you were doing it on the construction side, burying pipe and things like that, digging foundations, that kind of stuff. So, very interesting. That's what I was trained as. So they basically gave me a choice. And when I went in, I could stay at my current job where I was already trained, or I could reclass. If I reclassed, it was going to be needs of the Army, which I think they always need riggers, so I wasn't going to do that. So, but they gave me duty station of choice then, which was also only based off of what was available that day on the computer screen.
Right. Which
was interestingly Korea or Panama. And I thought, man, Panama, that sounds exotic,
It is.
My ties to native girls, right? That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what they've got going on now.
Yeah. That was the wrong South Pacific.
I got
South America,
Polynesia, Panama. It's the same thing.
Yeah, man, I really blew that one. But so I ended up getting down. So the first thing that happens is I go through what is Jackson?
Mm-hmm. Jackson.
Yeah, I go through Fort Jackson, and they as prior service, right? They get us all there, and it was really weird because the drills didn't know how to treat us. It was like an entire company of prior service folks getting ready to head out. So they were kind of treating us like we were like basic trainees.
Yeah.
But some of us were sergeants and stuff like that. It was like, I was in E4 at the time, right? But come on, we kind of, I've been here, done that. So headed out of there, and we get to Panama, hit the reception station, and day one in Panama, get greeted with, "How many of you think you're here for a year tour? Put your hand down, it's 2. Oh, nice to know.
So when you switched over for active,
I guess I'll unpack.
or
Yeah.
to active rather, how long was that enlistment for?
So that's a great question
Because at that point you had already been in for 4.
yeah, so 87. Well, they gave me credit from 87 to 93, so technically I had 5 years
Oh,
total
nice.
time in service.
Nice. Okay.
Right. So that, and then that you essentially, I signed a second contract when I went active. So they kind of voided the first contract, which was a 6x2. The first
When
one.
you go from reserve to active, yes.
Right. And then on active side, I think that was just a 3-year enlistment. There was no, because it was considered a second contract.
Yep.
So it was a 3-year enlistment. So no bonus or anything like that, of course. Those things didn't exist back then.
Well, you were. I can't speak authoritatively on this, but if you were coming in at 93, I mean, we were kind of in the throes of the RIF, the reduction in force at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
So that would
Yeah.
that would have made some
Oh
of those
my gosh, it
inducements
was-
would have been non-existent during.
Oh, it was a completely different military back then.
Yeah.
Like I'd tell people today, I think we're heading in that direction. It's just economically, we continue to try to spend as if we're still fighting a global war on terror, and we're not. So,
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about the fact that when Clinton balanced the budget, there were some deep cuts to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But back to Panama.
Yeah,
and
Panama.
the Mai Tais and the local girls.
He's being a political advisor. Come on.
yeah. So,
My ties.
got down there, actually really incredible time. Panama was fun. Everything bad for you was relatively inexpensive. So, yeah. I think a pack of cigarettes was $1. 6-pack of Michelob was like $2.35 at the PX. A bottle of Panama Jack rum was like $2.99 at the Class 6. Yeah. And if you weren't too discerning and you didn't have a discerning palate, which at 27 I didn't, yeah.
Mistakes were made.
Decisions.
So
It's always a choice point.
So what was your job there? I mean, because you're
Right.
you're a construction engineer specializing in a
Sure.
weird looking sea truck.
Sure. So it's interesting because this was when George Sr. Did his Fuertes Caminos, the Strong Roads program in Central America, which was essentially building goodwill with the South American and Central American folks. Remember, we're fighting a drug war at that time as well, right? So to gain favor, we were doing road projects, building schools, hospitals. I mean, third world versions of hospitals, like, clinics, we'll say. So my unit did a lot of that stuff, a lot of infrastructure stuff in Panama. We were in Honduras. I went to El Salvador. Did a 4-month deployment to El Salvador, where we built several schools, a Gabion bag bridge, which was a unique project. That was kind of fun. So yeah, we were the first non-combat troops in El Salvador after the end of the Salvadorian.
Because the 80s were rough in El
Very
Salvador.
rough.
Yeah, that
Very
was the
rough.
death squads. And
Yeah. So we stayed in a place called Zacatecoluca, and with the 5th Battalion, who had a very illustrious career throughout that conflict there. Viva con honor y morir con gloria. Live with honor and die with glory was their battalion. That's my take on it. For those who speak Spanish and I butchered it, I apologize. I'm an Indo speaker, what can I tell you? But yeah, so it was an interesting time. A lot of good times. Got to do something down there that I never thought I'd do. I flew an admin flight in a Huey at 1,000 feet, the entire length of the Panama Canal.
nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I went from Fort Sherman on the Atlantic side back over to Fort Kobe on the Pacific side.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did.
How
Go ahead.
long does that take?
That's a great question. If I recall, it was about 35 minutes.
At 1,000 feet.
1,000
Yeah.
feet's pretty low.
Yeah,
That's very low.
It was pretty cool. We were, so the Huey. You guys ever been in a Huey before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking. But you know how your feet can kind of sort of dangle out.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. And then that's sort of was the impetus to go to air assault school. So I went to air assault school in Panama.
Yep.
During your time there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to have. There was a National Guard unit that ran MTTs for air assault school. They were out of Camp Gruber in Oklahoma. And
That has not changed. Fort Gruber maybe, but the National Guard air assault MTTs, but that's still very much a thing.
yeah, so they
Mobile training team.
yeah mobiles. Yeah, they would come once a year to Panama, and they would also do treks out to like the Pacific area and stuff like that, and do inter-service things. So I think out of the 52 weeks of the year, because it's a 10-day course, so essentially it's 2 weeks, right?
The 10 hardest days in the Army.
I mean,
So they say.
I'm both airborne and air assault qualified. I didn't have to study too hard to fall. So, I mean, I'm not disparaging my 82nd brethren, who I have the most respect for. But again, I used to tell people, all you have to do is have the courage to get on a plane 5 times, because you're going out.
Oh, you're going out the door.
Yeah, you're going out.
This is happening.
Oh yeah, it's happening. So, I've seen it. I saw somebody that thought twice and still went.
Had a size 11 boot print on the rear end.
It might have happened. I'm just, plausible deniability. I'm saying I think I saw something.
So you wrap up 2 years at Panama.
Yep. And
What happens next?
So interestingly, I don't have enough time left. You have to have 12 months left to come back to the States to basically do a PCS, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have 12 months left.
Right.
Because it wasn't by much, but so I had to extend 3 months to come back.
Right.
So I came back and I went to Fort Hood, Texas.
The great place.
Yeah, my brother was there, and I went looking for a job, because at that point in time I figured it's better to go find a job than have them give you one. So I went and found the 588th Engineer Battalion, which was a combat engineer battalion. So I joined, at that point in time, I went from construction battalion to a combat engineer battalion.
Yeah.
And
Very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
And I was in the old A&O platoon, assault and obstacle platoon.
Got it.
So went from being completely nation building focused in Panama for 2 years to literally combat focused.
Michelix. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. We had the CEV,
Yep.
famous for. Was it the CEV? Yeah, I think it was a CEV that took down the Davidian compound wall.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Explain to everybody what a Michelix is. It's not the first time we've used that acronym in here.
Oh, you want me to remember what it is?
You don't have to. You don't have to do the acronym, but explain what it is.
It fires, essentially, it fires what is called a line charge out.
Yeah.
So it's multiple small explosives on a line and shoots it out into a minefield. And then what you do is, by detonating it, it guarantees that a certain radius off of that line that you've made, you've now cleared a path through a minefield. So each one of those small detonations would, in theory, triggers the mines that are near it.
Yeah, the concussive force is supposed to basically blow open a pathway.
Right.
They're pretty effective. all
Yeah,
things
they're
considered.
definitely effective.
Yeah.
So, and Bangalore's and stuff
Yes.
like that, which is made famous in Saving Private Ryan, when they slide the tubes
Oh, yeah.
and blow the concertina wire.
So those are combat engineers.
Oh yes, those guys. That's who I was with.
Yeah.
So lots of fun.
Destruction engineers.
It's always, I always thought that was funny about in essays in the engineer world.
Yes.
It's like it's the same regiment and they have two
completely different.
two
roles.
opposite missions.
I've done them both.
We build stuff. We make stuff not built.
Yeah, it's definitely satisfying to walk away and see something that you've built. It's also really satisfying to walk away and see there's nothing left.
Just to blow things up.
So, I was like, hey, they paid me to do this stuff. It was kind of cool.
So Fort Hood combat engineer, and you've got a year left on this particular.
Left. And I made E5 at that point in time.
Okay.
And
before you left Panama, or
no,
while...
in Fort Hood. So interesting. This is really interesting part. When I made E5, in my MOS, there were guys who were getting out. There was RCP at that point in time. Retention control point was 8 years. If you didn't progress beyond E4 in 8 years, you were out. And I knew guys, they couldn't get promoted because the points were so high.
Yeah.
So I got lucky because of that 96 credits of college. I made E5. When I got promoted, I was one of the first 5 62 Juliets to get promoted to E5 in 3 years. and there was only, I'm sorry, 7 of us. There were 7 of us that got promoted. And I think, yeah. So I knew lots of really, really talented guys who were hitting RCP and couldn't stay.
It's left high and dry.
Yeah. I mean, my squad leader in Fort Hood was he was a 62 Echo. So he was a dozer operator. And the dozers in Fort Hood, we used to dig 2-tiered fighting positions for the M1 Abrams, the battle tank.
The big ones, yeah.
Yeah, the big ones and the Bradleys. So you dig essentially, you come in from the back and you dig the hole down all the way to where they can go in and hide, and then you cut a firing platform above it so they come up, fire off, and then go back down in the hole. That was the tactic at that time. Yeah. So that's what we would dig. They don't do that stuff anymore because of all the environmental stuff, but we were digging holes all over the place back then.
Yeah. It was a different time.
It was. So anyway, that was, but when I got promoted, that was, I made E5. Yeah. But my squad leader, Joe Bell, great guy, fantastic, but he was an E6 with 22 years in service. So
in his case, he would have retired.
Oh yeah, he probably retired at some point in time. But I mean, not for lack of. It wasn't that. I mean, he was a fantastic squad leader. I mean, talk about hip pocket training type stuff. Mm-hmm. We would come in on a Monday, and I think most of us in the squad were single at the time and lived in the barracks. And Joe was like, "Yep, pack your bags, we're going out." And out behind the motor pool, there was like 1 acre or 2 acres of just open land. And we would just drive out the backside of the motor pool and basically pitch a tent back there. And we would practice digging holes, fill them in, digging holes, fill them in.
Yeah, you go and play in the LTA, the local training area.
Yeah, and that's literally what we did. I mean, they don't do that stuff anymore.
No, because Al Gore invented the internet, and now everybody wants to be on it.
Fair enough.
Man, bear, pig.
There we go.
Man, bear, pig.
Yeah.
Okay, so that third year of that enlistment starts to wind down.
Yeah.
So you're at another decision point.
I'm at a decision point. So I went. So the hotness then was 19 kilo. Remember, we had just come out of Desert Storm, right? So the whole 19 series, the Cav Scouts, and tankers was. I mean, they had won
the kilos. And
they won the war. The Desert Storm. They won it. The Battle of East 40 Easting, whatever it is, the big tank battle that took place in that, So that was the hotness. So I went to try and go reclass because I knew I was probably going to hit RCP for an E5 if I didn't go reclass. So I went down to the retention, and he said, nope. He said, you've done a reserve contract. You've done an active duty contract. This next contract will be your third contract. We consider you a lifer. You don't get to change MOSs. And and he also offered me. This is a really great. This is like for all those retention guys out there. Imagine trying to do your job like this. His big selling point was if I re-upped, I got a 4-day pass.
That was a thing.
Oh yeah, it was huge. Well, you didn't get them back then. Yeah. Now you just write your own 4-day passes, but.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again. Different times,
right? Yeah. But that was his big selling point. Hey, if you re-up, I can get you a 4-day pass. Yeah, 4-day weekend. So I was like, wow, that was so. So I didn't. I got out. I'll never forget my first sergeant. He talked like the Wolfman Jack because I think he smoked like Pall Mall 100s, one after another. And he came out back one time. He was talking retention to some young cat, and I said, First Sergeant, how come you're not trying to sell me on re-upping? You gonna re-up? Well, probably not. Why ain't you gonna re-up? Because I can't get promoted past E5. I wouldn't re-up either. That was the extent.
That's wise counsel.
That's the mentoring and counseling that we received back then. So I got out.
You'd be an idiot if you did.
Yeah.
Thanks, First Sergeant.
I got out in
So mid-90s.
Yeah, I got out in 96, March of 96. This is a great story. You've been through clearing. We've cleared and left the military, right? So I get cleared, and back then you could do a ditty move and get 80% of the cost. Do it yourself.
Do it yourself. Yeah.
Get 80% of the cost of the move up front. They would give you a check for it, and then you had to settle at the end. So I told them I was moving back to Pennsylvania. I was moving to Austin, but
Which,
Mine-
for
mine
those
is-
who don't know, is not far from
No,
Fort Hood.
not far from
Relatively.
Fort Hood,
If
yeah.
anything, in Texas, it's close.
yeah, if anything in Texas is close, Austin is close to Killeen. That's correct. But I was going down there to work as a manager for CC's Pizza because that's what people with sociology degrees do.
So for all you young people listening,
yeah. So for all you young folks who
psychology degrees and
Yeah,
sociology degrees.
That's right. That's right. So to finish the education question that Dan had asked, during my time in Panama, I did get my degree.
Yeah.
So they had a great program. It was called Regents College at the time.
Yeah.
Which was a State University of New York system program. That if you, the way I did it was this: if you could pass a GRE, graduate record exam, in any given subject, they would grant you 30 credits in that subject. So it takes 120 credits to graduate college.
They still have a similar, or they did anyway.
Yeah.
When I was up there, they had a similar system that high school seniors take. They take their Regents exams
Okay.
to get credits before they go to college to
Okay.
encourage them to go to the SUNY system.
There you go. Yeah. So it Regents College became Excelsior.
Yep.
So I do. So for those who don't know, Excelsior is a very forgiving institution that helps many military folks get a bachelor's degree. And we'll leave it
Well
at that.
said. Well said.
But at that time, so I took a GRE in a subject I felt confident in, sociology, and I passed it. I mean, nobody was more shocked than I was. And
Slack jawed.
yeah, so SUNY comes back and says, "Hey, you're 3 credits shy of a double major. You could have history and sociology, so I could be twice as useless, right?" And they said all you would have to do is take a historiography course, and I'm like, history of history.
But first, you have to spell historiography.
Right. And I'm like, historiography. And I didn't know what it was, right? So I'm like, it's the history of history. Nah.
No way.
I'll take my sheepskin, thank you. Which wasn't sheepskin, surprisingly. You know? So they granted the degree. So I had the degree at that point in time. So
And it was very useful at CC.
incredibly useful. Yeah. So of course, at that time, the out processing,
It's very brief.
it was very brief. It was also, I went to, what was it called then? I think it was ACAP.
Yeah.
It was still ACAP then. Yeah, it was ACAP. And I went through, very, very truncated, very, very short, mostly because what they were offering me was truck driving school or prison guard.
Would you be surprised if I told you that those two things are still heavily pushed during the ACAP process?
Not at all.
Well, it's not necessarily prison guard. Your CDL, absolutely.
The truck driving,
but,
for sure.
But yes, going into, I guess, law enforcement adjacent
Yes.
careers.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Because we have so much, so much knowledge. That's why I was laughing, when we put National Guard troops in cities, and I'm like, I just don't know if Johnny Smith, PFC, and the National Guard should really be in charge of anything. So, but anyway, I digress. I know I should not have been in charge of anything as a 26-year-old reservist. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
So,
So CC's.
yeah, CC's Pizza. So I had a break in service from 96 to 02. First job was working at CC's Pizza in Austin, Texas.
And that was immediately after.
Immediately
so
after, yeah. I actually,
Mid-ish 90s. Yeah.
So 96, 97 time frame. Did CC's already have the dessert pizzas?
they did.
The Mexican pizzas were
No,
good.
yeah, we had the Mexican pizza, we had the dessert pizza, the strudel. I got out the first time and put on 20 pounds very quickly working at CC's.
Strudel pounds.
Yeah, it was strudel. Also the barbecue pizza.
You got to wash it
Spectacular.
down with soda too, of course.
Of course. Well, that's how you kept
diet.
That's how you kept moving.
Diet soda.
Yeah. So it was very interesting, though. Yeah. So people will tell you they love hiring military folks because of our, we're very ethically sort of motivated, right? Like we have good morals.
In theory,
ethics.
but yes.
Yeah, in theory, right? And we're very organizationally loyal and those kinds of things and stuff like that. Until you actually start doing the things that demonstrate that, and then they're like, we're not so sure we like you doing this. So,
Yeah.
like, I fired a head cook one time because he was messing with my schedule, and the owner was like, hey, why'd you fire him? I'm like, because he touched my schedule. Like I'm the manager. That's undermining my authority. He's like, yeah, but
But that's Billy. You can't do that.
Yeah,
to
but
Billy.
he's worked here for like 3 years, and his whole family works here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I'm like, okay, so that was kind of my welcome to civilian life, Yeah. Same thing happened. Yeah, anyway, I bounced around for a while.
So you had a significant break in service. So
96 to 02.
So just, I know you didn't do pizza that entire time.
No.
So.
Oh Lord, we don't have that much time.
Okay.
Give
us the short version.
Financial planning, rent-to-own furniture. A lot of these were managerial positions in retail places.
Yeah.
So I parlayed my sergeant-isms into mid-level management at chain stores and things.
But you stayed in Central Texas this whole time?
No, I left Texas in '98. After 2 years, left Texas and moved back home to Pennsylvania.
Eastern PA then. Okay.
Yeah, Lancaster.
Okay. Got it.
So we moved back home, and that was.
So I know a little bit about your background, so I know why you came back on service, but I'm not going to steal your thunder from you. So how did you end up back in the Army?
So I was working at a car dealership when 9/11 happened.
Yep.
And I remember sitting there, and I called the towers coming down. Like, not like I saw the crumbling, like 20 minutes before they came down. Like, I looked at it and I was like, they're not going to stay up. They're coming down. And I ended up talking about our response and what we were going to do and stuff like that. And I started thinking very heavily about it. And I was like, there's got to be a place for me to come back. During that break in service, I tried to come back twice. In '98, I tried to come back just before Jill and I were married. And I wanted to come in as an officer because I did agree. The recruiter was told by his battalion command, we're here to put soldiers in, not officers, cease and desist. So that stopped. And then they told me, this was the great one. They were like, hey, you can go in, right? But we can put you in as an E4, but don't worry, as soon as you get there, you can just go to the board and become an E5 again right away.
Because that's how that works.
I was like, that's not really how that works.
Yeah.
Like, you show up and they'd be like, why don't you prove to us? It's like, no, how about I already was? So when they wouldn't let me keep my E5, I didn't go back in. Now we have a war. And I wanted to, I just felt very almost obligated, I guess. I wanted to serve. I thought of myself as a good NCO, and I figured they've got to need a couple of those. My wife had no real understanding of the military. She thought everybody was in Afghanistan looking for Osama bin Laden. We just emptied out every base in America and everybody's over there in Afghanistan.
I can assure you, we didn't.
No, we did not. So she was not going to let me go active duty at that point in time. But I joined the reserves again.
Okay.
So and again, it's based off of what's in your area. So there was a terminal transportation brigade in my area, and so I joined that. Because they deployed a lot, but they deployed to, Belgium.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
This is NATO stuff, presumably?
Well, no, just moving cargo.
Okay.
They would deploy, the ports in Europe, bringing stuff in.
Yeah.
And also, we went down to Sunny Point. We would do 2 or 3 week rotations where they'd put us on 80 SOs, I think, active duty special orders or something. And they would put us on those orders, and we would go down in 2 MEF. We loaded up 2 MEF out of Lejeune.
Yeah.
And sent them
Marine
over.
Expeditionary Force.
Yeah, thank you. We sent them out.
Yeah.
So we would go down to Sunny Point, load them up. We went down to Galveston, loaded up units.
Yeah.
This was beginning of Iraq and Afghanistan, right? So units at that time, in that time frame, 2003, 2004, if your unit was activated, you would load up, or not unit, if you were deployed, you would pack all your stuff and take it with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? And then we realized that was expensive. So when my reserve unit was activated to run the port of Shuaibah in Kuwait, For the first 6 months, we were 6 days a week over there. And we had, in the Gulf of Oman, affectionately known as the GU, there would be 7 or 8 ships circling out there, and they would come in. The Kuwaitis would allow us to use certain docks, and we'd bring the ships in, and we were unloading 5-6 ships a day.
Yeah.
Right. A week. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, something like that. But it was constant, and then it just stopped because they were like, "Hey, why don't we just leave the equipment in Iraq?"
TPE, theater provided equipment.
Theater provided equipment. So when First Cav came back after Fallujah, that was the last unit we loaded up their equipment.
Right.
So
it's another thing. We've talked about this in previous episodes too. And I was one of these folks until I was pretty deep into my career that you assume that the Navy does all the port stuff.
No.
And it's not the case at all. The Army does the vast majority
That's correct.
of opening the ports and,
Absolutely
and
correct.
sustaining all of that.
Yeah. It's interesting because we're special operations guys. And it is interesting that the two MACOMs that are actually support are SDD, Surface Distribution Deployment, SDDC, that's what it is, Surface Distribution Deployment Command, and Special Operations.
Yes.
So, yeah, U.S. SOCOM is an enabler. They don't like hearing that.
They don't.
They do not like hearing
Not
that.
even a little bit.
So, but it's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, Kuwait was... Jill and I had been married at that point in time. We got married in 99.
99, okay.
So I had 3 kids. I had been doing construction work. I had been doing all kinds of crazy things that a guy with a sociology degree does to take care of a family. And when we mobilized and I went to Kuwait for a year, I was paying, I think, $500 a month or $600 a month back then for insurance, which of course is nothing now, but back then that was crippling.
That's a lot.
And that dropped right to the bottom line for us because of TRICARE. And I mean, that was $500 a month for insurance before copays, right? So with TRICARE, my wife and my kids went to the doctor anytime they wanted. And it was like, our lifestyle changed. And they had this thing. I was in 88 November at the time. So I was supposed to be a cargo documentation specialist, but I spent most of my time out directing traffic on the port. I was at the bottom of the ramp, and we were loading up an LMSR, large LMSR. I can't remember. Large something.
Sorry,
ship.
I can't help you on that one.
It's
Sorry.
a something ship, but the R stands for roll on, roll off.
Okay.
Which means that they drop the back and they can drop the front. They can literally load stuff up. It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
It's about 70 feet shorter than a battleship. 70 feet shorter than an aircraft carrier. It's huge. And we would be running multi-crane operations, dropping cargo containers on multiple decks, putting units, equipment on there. Everything from deuce and a halves to Abrams tanks to Bradleys to 88s, all kinds of huge tracked equipment, stuff like that. And they had it came out in the middle of 2005 with what they call the RCAC, Reserve Component to Active Component Program.
Yep.
And if you were an E6, and I'd made E6 in reserves at this time, you could stay and come onto active duty, keep your rank. And there was a bonus attached to it too. And especially if you were in a Star MLS. A Star MLS was one that they were critically low on.
Right.
Which they were critically low on 88 Novembers. So I contacted Jill and I said, "How do you like this life?" I mean, like the money's good, like the healthcare is good, and I'm probably not going to do very well with the sociology degree the rest of my life. So she was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And the selling point was, "Hey, I'm in 88 November. We're probably going to be stationed at Fort Eustis or Fort Lee in Virginia. This is going to be great. We're going to move maybe 4 hours south, and we'll be down by the Fort Eustis and Fort Story.
I know it well.
Yeah, Lee and Story and Eustis are all that's Virginia Beach, man. That's right on that.
Fort Story is awesome.
Yeah, so I thought that'd be great.
It's like the best kept secret in the Army.
It is. And then I thought, I'll get deployed a couple times a year to Belgium to offload ships and, stuff like that. TDY, this will be great. So I signed the contract, did their enlistment. Turns out I had a cousin I didn't know about who was in my reserve unit. He actually administered the oath to me.
Weird.
Yeah.
Did you know that he was your cousin when he was administering the oath?
Yes.
Or after?
At that point, I knew he was my cousin.
Okay.
So
How did you find out?
Well, his last name was Gorman, and his mother's brother, something like that, was my great uncle. So we were like cousins twice removed or something like that. It wasn't. We weren't like
First cousins.
Yeah, we weren't first cousins. So,
Like somebody's brother had a mysterious love child or something.
No. It was. I mean, we were related in one way or another, but not by a whole lot. So, but anyway, and I was in the Terminal Transportation Brigade is what I deployed with.
Yeah.
So we were very rank heavy.
Yes.
Huge rank heavy. So it was a full bird colonel. I think we had 4 lieutenant colonels, 23 majors.
Yeah, those are the rowers.
There's a lot of majors, like 6 captains and 1 lieutenant.
Row and live.
And that lieutenant was my cousin. So he's the one who did
Nice.
the enlistment. So that 1 lieutenant, I felt bad for him. That was worse than being a private for him.
I could see how that would be uncomfortable. Yes.
Yeah. So and then a lot of senior non-commissioned officers too.
Right.
So still only 1 sergeant major though. Anyway. So I went active duty, and the United States Army, in its infinite wisdom, sent me back to being a combat engineer that I hadn't done for 10 years.
Oh.
Fort Hood, Texas.
The great place again.
Okay, well, let's take a break real quick.
Sure.
And then we'll get back to your second stint.
That's right.
At Fort Hood.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
So you're back active, and you're back at Fort Hood.
I'm back
The great
at Fort
place.
Hood, the great place.
Now, considering that you had essentially promised your wife and your kids Virginia Beach, how thrilled were they to be back in Killeen?
Central Texas.
Well, they hadn't been yet.
Right.
They hadn't been yet. So I went ahead. So the reserve deployment was a year, just a little shy of a year. So basically October of 2004 to December of 2005, I had been a mobilized reservist. And then in November of 2005, I signed that contract. So I changed over to being active duty, right? So I go home and I take 30 days leave and go home. So my unit comes home. I come home with them, of course. And I'm on 30 days leave. I have to report to Fort Hood, Texas, So the wife took it pretty well. Jill took that pretty well. She had seen how our community reacted to me being a service member. Of course, Lancaster's not a military town, so when she was explaining that I was overseas serving, she got a lot of support from folks, and so she kind of embraced that role of the supporting spouse and that really she kind of blossomed into that role. So she was okay with it. The kids not as excited initially.
How old were your kids at this point?
So Ashley was a freshman in high school. Ethan was in 4th grade-ish, and Jordan had just started 1st grade, I think, somewhere thereabouts. So, had Jordan even started? Yeah, Jordan had just started kindergarten. I just remember when my reserve unit deployed and we left on buses, and he realized that we were actually leaving. Like, he was chasing after the bus, waving an American flag, and Jill had told him he could only go to the corner. So when the bus turned the corner, he stopped chasing my bus and fell to his knees and started crying. So that, that even to this moment still gets me.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, he's kind of a turd now, but...
They all are.
He's 20, oh my dear Lord, turns 25 next week. So 20, something like that. 26, 25, 26.
So the move was not easy on the kids.
Well, it wasn't easy on any of us because I reported in January to Fort Hood, but Jill and the kids didn't come until the kids were in school. So essentially, I went down ahead to try and figure out what to do, and I was operating under, my mental state was like my old Army experience. Like, okay, I'll get down to the unit, and I'm a single guy, so they'll give me a barracks room until I figure stuff out. And I was like, no, like, you're married, like, figure your life out. So I ended up finding a house like for sale. So and I worked it out so that the closing would be, I think it was like a couple months down the road. I asked them if they could hold out, and then I actually talked them into letting me move in and live there rent free for a couple months.
You were practicing your CA skills.
Yeah,
I
really was.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I really was. So I talked the guy into letting me paint it. I was like, so for like 2 or 3 months before Jill got there, I was like painting the kids' bedrooms the colors they wanted, put tile in the front foyer, clean the bathroom.
Turning a house into a home.
Yeah, I did that stuff. And then eventually Jill and the kids came down. But the rough part was, so I was alone, separated from her from January until they came down almost in May.
And you had just gotten back from being
just
deployed
gotten back
for a
from
year.
deployed for a year. And the unit I had gone to was leaving to deploy in October. So she came down in May, and literally we had from May until October together, and then I left out again. So we sat down and did the math at one point in time. The first 10 years of my active duty, being back on active duty, essentially from being a mobilized reservist until we were slept in the same bed for 4 years, between PMTs, training, schooling,
pre-mission training.
Yeah, pre-mission training, non-commissioned officer educational schools, all those fun things. We figured that we slept in the same bed about 4 years out of the 10. So
Yeah.
Which is not uncommon during the
no
double barrels of the GWAT.
Yeah, that was the 05 to 15 time frame. So my unit, they got down, the kids in the family got there. My mother-in-law, I'll never forget that Christmas when I came home from Kuwait prior to going down to Fort Hood. My mother-in-law was on the phone with me. Oh, dear God, she's going to be listening to this at some point in time. But we had a 2-hour conversation, and she was just convinced that somehow I had chosen to go to Fort Hood and take her grandkids away from her.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is the way it works.
Right. So I just remember she was adamant. She's like, "Well, isn't part of you?" Like, no, like I don't think you understand. I literally had no control of this. I literally thought we were going to be in Virginia, and the Army. I should have realized the Army's always thrown me curveballs. My whole career has been curveballs from the Army. Maybe that's just the Army experience. So there's something to be said for that too. But so. Most of my family was supportive because they had seen my service had stabilized our family, financially, and because even when I was working construction, I was in the concrete business, so I was laid off from. And for those who don't know, you don't pour concrete in the freezing cold in Pennsylvania in December and January and February. So when you're working scale wage jobs, making lots of money in April, May, June, July, August, life is great. And then Pennsylvania gives you $400 a week unemployment, and life gets difficult.
Yeah.
And I will not even pretend that I was any kind of a financial manager who could figure it out. So it was feast and famine for us.
Yeah.
So, but so really, the military stabilized our lives.
It made it unpredictably predictable.
Yeah.
So you deploy again. Where do you go?
Iraq.
Okay, so this is
the
your first
real
combat theater.
Yeah, this is the first combat theater. My unit, I'm in a combat engineer battalion, and my unit was responsible. This was during the Baghdad security belt portion of the war.
Yep.
COPS and JSSs, combat outposts, joint security stations. So combat outpost is American unit occupies. The joint security station was usually an American unit, Iraqi police, and sort of like an Iraqi infantry unit would all occupy an outpost and operate out of that. So that was a JSS. So we built 37 COPs and 27 JSSs around Baghdad that was when we kind of took over and really secured and got things under control from the internal strife that year.
Yeah.
So
by then the insurgency was in full swing.
Yeah. So honest to goodness, you probably have had this term mentioned on your podcast before, but I will fully admit I was essentially a fobbit. I stayed on the forward operating base. I worked in the 3 in the planning cell, and I worked procurement for our guys who went out and built stuff. So I had a great relationship with the laydown yard, where all the materials came in and stuff like that. That was interesting. So we went out a couple times to do some, like went up to Ramadi, and trying to remember some of the other places we went to. Most of them were just in and around Baghdad. I was in a, what are those things called? The wheels, the
ASV.
Sure.
In that time frame, it was probably an ASV. It was long and
No,
had
strikers.
6.
I was in a striker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, it came to me.
Yep.
I was in a striker, and heard plinking,
Yeah.
but I was in a striker. I wasn't concerned.
That time frame would have been before the EFPs.
Oh no, that was when they came out. The first RG-33, the first MRAP that got hit with an EFP that penetrated was on I was at BIOP. Yeah. So Baghdad International Airport.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was there, and they were actually looking at that because it was one of the first ones.
So that would have been
EFP,
very early then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The EFPs, explosively formed projectiles. We actually, one of our convoys got hit by one. It was designed. They would set them up at Humvee level, right? So that when they would fire them off, it would go in and essentially wreak havoc.
They had them timed. They were they were copper discs, and they were timed just so intricately to be able to pass through the cab, because we didn't have armor at the time. I don't know about some of the Abrams and all that stuff, but on our Humvees and our wheeled vehicles, we did not. Even the up armors did not have the stopping power for these.
No, not
for
at
these
all. Not at that
penetrators.
time.
So for people that are listening, so these copper discs.
Yeah.
Could rip through pretty much anything we had in our inventory.
Well, and when they ripped through the metal, just imagine what it did.
Yeah, and it was it's cat and mouse. It was a cat and mouse.
It was
period during this where they would create something, and they meaning
right.
This was the Iranians, by the way, because.
Oh yeah, well we could
talk about it now.
Yeah,
we know it was the Iranians that were doing all this. So it was a measure and a countermeasure and a countermeasure and a countermeasure.
Absolutely, and all the snipers were Syrian, so.
Yeah.
So that's
so the EFPs, yeah.
Yeah. So one of those EFP actually, I was not in the convoy, but it went off, and interestingly, we had LMTVs, the basically the replacement for the deuce and a half, 2.5 ton truck. So it's a cargo truck, right. But the cab is up higher, so because the EFP was set to go and to try and get like a Humvee level, it actually went and hit the gas tank and caused a huge fireball.
Yeah, it could do that.
Yeah, so that was an unpleasant experience for some of our guys.
Right.
Who luckily got blown clear and lived. Thank God.
Yeah.
We were very blessed on that rotation. We did not I don't know how you say loss of life is blessed, but we really only lost like 2 folks that time. One of them was sniped by if you recall, there was I do not remember the private's name, who was lost from early on in the war. He had gone missing, and they constantly were searching for his remains, and they continued to posthumously promote him. I think he had gone missing as a PFC, and at this point in time, he was a staff sergeant in 2007. And they got a heads up that his remains were located somewhere, and they went out on a mission, set up a cordon, And this one kind of hit home for me because the young kid was a sea truck operator, and he went to start digging gently to sea. And when you're on a sea truck, you are sitting up on the back of this thing operating it. And he was operating, and the DAPS system for your shoulders.
That's your shoulders, yeah.
You know, the bulletproof protection for your shoulder is up, and the sniper shot underneath of his DAPS and killed him while he was operating that.
Yep.
So that's one fellow that we lost. And then the other one was a terrible, unfortunate accident. Young female sergeant. They were clearing. If you recall, they started using the guardrails on the roads to set up. That's where they would set up the EFPs. So think of a metal guardrail like on an American highway. You've got that concave portion there. They would set the EFP in there, and that was perfect height. They would fire it from there. So we were tasked with ripping guardrails out of the highway system in Iraq. And the one sergeant, she was they were ripping it and pulling it, and she was in a bucket loader. Has an articulating body, and they were going down the road pretty quickly with essentially ripping this out, and a piece of the metal caught the front end of the bucket loader, and she just happened to be standing, and it articulated and crushed her and killed her.
Ugh.
So, yeah.
I think people would be surprised, even in combat theaters, how many people we lose to non-combat related, we'll just say accidents.
In Kuwait, we had a gentleman, unfortunately, when we would repark the vehicles, they would take them off the ship and take them into a yard and park them. And he was pulling an 88 up to a howitzer 105. And essentially, I don't know why he did this, but he was parking it so that the gun tube was over top to get it really close and tight. And literally the gun tube was like right here, and he took his foot off of the brake and it lurched forward and crushed his head and killed him.
Yeah.
It'd be amazed at how many things like that take place in combat environments. The pace at which you go, people not getting proper amount of rest, and
stress, lack of rest.
Sometimes even in the best of situations, it just
Murphy's out there lurking.
Yeah, we had one fella. The other gentleman we lost was electrocuted to death. They were moving concrete barriers, and actually his shift was over, and he was so there was a chain, like a metal chain attached to the concrete barrier to kind of control it. A ground wire type thing, but it's a metal chain, and the crane hit an overhead electrical power line, and so it came down.
The current ran all the way down
Through the chain, and I mean, blew him out of his shoes and
fried him.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So yeah, it was a shame.
What a way to go.
Yeah. So we had several. Unfortunately, we had several of those types of funeral. You have a memorial in the chapel there. On BIOP, we had them, and certainly, by no means. I know our brothers and sisters that served in other units that took far heavier losses than we did. So I don't disparage, I'm not trying to compare my experience to anybody else's, but I'm just saying that, stuff happens over the course of a year.
Yeah.
And it does kind of hit home.
Yeah.
Do you think about it often?
Not really. I think more about the gentleman that we lost when we came back.
Well, let's talk about that. So you redeploy.
We redeployed back to Fort Hood. At this point in time, trying to figure out, we're starting refit. right? Because, it's turn and burn back
Yeah.
then, right?
You got enlistments that are up, so you got people that
Sure.
are separating, you
Yeah.
got people that are PCSing onto their next thing, and so there's a big kind of deep breath that you take when you get home from a deployment.
Well,
and
there
then,
is.
and then it's churn again.
Right, unless everybody gets leave and stuff like that. Unless, of course, your friend takes over as the first sergeant of your company and asks you to become the ops sergeant for him. In which wasn't really a request. It just was.
That's how that works.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, I think you'd be great at this job. So I've been trying to get a squad leader position as an E6. The problem was I was at the time we were called 21s. 21 November, I believe, is what I was, which was still my MOS of going back to literally being like the small construction equipment guy. And I was in what essentially is now a 12 Bravo battalion. So it was all combat engineers, sappers and bang bangers and stuff like that, which is why my position was in the plan cell for planning. So I came back and I'm trying to get a squad position. I was in this weird, unique position because I was in E6, right? So I had time in rank, but essentially my time in service really wasn't very long at all. It was like 4 years.
Yeah.
Because it was reserves and active duty, 3 years of active duty plus that reserve time plus a couple deployments. I was like an E6 with like 5 or 6 years of service. It was kind of strange, right? I didn't meet time and service requirements to be E7 and stuff like that. So, but now I care. This is my career now. This is my chosen profession.
Now you're invested.
Now I'm invested. So now obviously, I want to get promoted. I want to do things. So I'm, trying to figure out how do I go about doing this.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not leaving the 20th Engineer Battalion. So, but for those who don't know, if anybody's ever seen a patch with a seahorse on it, that is the 20th Engineer Battalion, which is a subcomponent of the 36th Engineer Brigade. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my
I've definitely seen the seahorse.
Yes. So, yeah. Not a whole lot of them running around. Not a whole lot of them with combat patches. So, on the right. So, every now and then I used to wear that on the right shoulder just to mess with people.
You said you lost someone.
Yeah. When we came back, Specialist Sisson, incredible guy from Arkansas. Sisson was essentially, and I say this with all affection, it was like a functioning alcoholic. Fantastic dude. Just Friday to Saturday, he just liked to drink beer. But he always did everything right. Never drove himself anywhere, right? Never, he wouldn't go gambling. He just liked to drink beer, and a lot of it. Fantastic guy, so much fun. I'll never forget, we went golfing one time. I had to literally go drag him out of bed to get him golfing with me one time, and didn't realize it. We're playing golf with the Fort Hood 3-Corps deputy commander, because this guy goes out with us, and there's 3 of us, and the starter says, hey, I'm going to give you a 4th. Okay, sure, whatever. And this guy's like, you don't want to hit the ball there because on this hole was built this way. And then I'm like, oh man, I got to listen to this jerk for the next 18 years.
Umpteen hours. Yeah.
Right. And, I'm like, dude, I don't really like at one point in time, I'm like, dude, I don't really care. And I'm kind of getting mouthy with him, and I wouldn't say mouthy, but I wasn't being overly respectful.
Maybe huffy.
Yeah. And so his phone rings. And he takes a phone call, and I was like, this guy's going to be taking phone calls? Like, really? Do we have to play with this guy? And by the second hole, finally, like, you know what? All right, Bob. Just so I'll go, hey, by the way, I'm sorry. Bob Charles, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And I don't remember his name. We'll just say Scott or whatever, right? Like, oh, yeah, Mike Scott. As in
The
2-star
the DCG.
General Deputy Commander of 3-Corps, Scott. Yeah. Oh, in my head, I'm like, hey, you're going to talk about the course all you want.
Take all the phone calls.
Phone calls you need. So he literally, like by the 9th hole, he's in the middle of a conversation with the Pentagon about, no, $7 million ought to get us through the next quarter. That's fine. I really appreciate you guys coming through for us. And he's like, yeah, I just had to get us another $7 million because we.
It's true. Business really does get done on the golf course.
It does. But the hilarious part was, So Sisson was dipping Copenhagen, and the general's like, oh, this is the best part. Sisson's from Arkansas, and the general went to Arkansas University.
Oh goodness.
Of.
Sweet.
So there are two Razorbacks.
Sweet.
Of course, Sisson he's not hungover because he's still drunk actually. So they immediately, once they figure out that old, Mikey Scott or whatever his name is, whatever this general is, like once we figure out that he's Arkansas and Sisson's Arkansas, and now he's a good old boy, and we're sipping on.
They start speaking Ozark to each other.
Oh yeah, they're Ozarking it up, and we're sipping on bourbon and playing golf. But Sisson was a great guy, and the day that he died, they were going to go out to Belton Lake, and so I mean he's still hammered in the morning, and so they get his car, but he gets a young kid, one of the privates in the barracks, to drive for them, and he says, hey, we gotta go pick up some beer. So he's the only one in the car wearing his seatbelt. He's in the passenger seat. And if you've ever been on 195 outside of Fort Hood, it's a bit of a racetrack. It's not much different than the Chicken 500 down here in Fort Bragg, and it can get crazy. And I guess the kid kind of got. I guess he got some guy came real too close to him or whatever, and Sisson had a Jeep, and so the kid kind of freaked out and spun the wheel. Car rolled. Right? I mean, they're on the highway. They're doing like 65 miles an hour or whatever.
That's what Jeeps do.
Yeah, and it rolled. Everybody got ejected except for Sisson. And it ends up in the other lane of traffic, oncoming traffic, and in front of a semi. And
so for all we know, he survived the rollover, but
yeah, but definitely
not the subsequent crash.
Not the subsequent impact with the semi. So now I may not have all of the details of that story 100% correct because it's been
20 years.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, but that really affected me in the sense of, like, I think we all have stories of like you come back and somebody does something stupid, right? I mean, here's a guy who, granted, he was a partier and all this other stuff, but I mean, he's wearing his seatbelt. He recognizes he shouldn't be driving, so he gets somebody to drive, right?
He was doing the right thing.
Yeah, everything that you would tell somebody to do at a safety briefing on Friday, he did it, and
And it still happened.
Yeah, and I guess that's just one of those. That's one of those moments that you just have to really lean into your faith, and just be like, there's a greater plan.
Yeah.
But it's interesting at the memorial. They talked. The new battalion commander didn't really know him that well, but they talked about him, and one of the things that they said was, everybody considered Sisson to be their best friend. We may not know who his best friends were, but everybody who knew him, they're like, oh yeah, Sisson's my best friend. Like that's just the way he came across. So incredible guy. He was an incredible dude.
Yeah. That says a lot about the relationships that he was able to build with people to make them all feel that way.
He's also the last person I ever did the punch in the chest to for promotion. He had gotten promoted to E5, so he was Sergeant Sisson when he passed, but he had gotten promoted in Iraq, and I'll never forget. So they were pretty harsh back then, like pounding dudes in the chest and stuff like that. And of course, with what we know about the Buffalo football player, I'm glad we stopped doing that and hitting people, right? But I remember he got promoted, and the next day he came over to see, and I saw him like, I missed your promotion. And I went, bam, and I hit him dead center on his rank in his chest. I dropped him to his knees because he was so bruised and beat up from the day before of everybody hitting him. And I watched him go down, and I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so terrible. So I never, from that point on, never, ever,
He's
ever.
the last person that you tortured.
He's the last person that I did the pop to.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was a good thing that we didn't wear the rank on the collar anymore with the with the davits removed.
Oh yeah, that was
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the way that we did my air assault wings when I was in Panama.
Yeah.
I was back in the barracks, and all my buddies in my barracks were like, "Oh, we need to give you blood wings." So I took my shirt off and jammed them into my chest, and everybody in the barracks walked past and smacked me on the chest.
That was the thing.
That was the thing well into the 2000s.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
But anyway, it was really bad when you wore your rank on your collar and you got it ground into your collarbone.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
probably not good stuff.
No.
So talk about reintegration with your family after your first combat deployment.
It went really well, actually. I thought it did. I don't know. That was my perspective. I thought my wife and I really kind of hit a groove. Kids went off to school. I would go to PT, come home. We'd have a little bit of time alone together. It was a fantastic time when I initially came back. Then we got a puppy. That was a big mistake. Puppies are like toddlers, man.
Puppies are toddlers.
Yeah, puppies are like toddlers. Cats are like teenagers. Yeah. If you want to know what it's like to raise a teenager, get a cat. Yeah. But it was pretty. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think about it all the time. Like I never really bought into that stuff about like reintegration problems. But maybe that's just, maybe I was living on that river, denial. I don't know. Because obviously I've done...
Experiences vary.
Yeah, experiences vary, yeah. I had a really... my wife has just been such an incredibly supportive woman of being a military wife and of all the deployment stuff. I'd say the hardest reintegration was probably coming back from my second CA deployment.
So, okay.
So anyway,
we'll get to
I'm
that.
Jumping ahead.
Okay, so you finished that deployment.
Yep.
You've just spilled the beans that you eventually assess into the Civil Affairs Regiment.
Is there anything? Is a rough word, but
is there anything in between?
They were starting to ramp up and had gotten the horse blanket was set up. The long range planning calendar was set up for the unit to return to Iraq in. So this was 2007 time frame. In between, I go to what we were affectionately referred to as beer knock. So I went to, this is the non-commissioned officer.
The basic non-commissioned officers course.
That is correct, which was in Missouri, because I am an engineer, and engineers go to Fort Leonard Wood.
Lost in the Woods.
Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri. St. Roberts,
I
Missouri.
know well.
Oh, yes. So down in the holler down there. So, which I drank a lot of beer while I was there.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. So that took place. But other than that, not a whole lot. Somebody had talked to me about, I don't remember how I found out about it, but someone said, hey, if you want to get promoted really fast, like, here's a way you can get promoted. Because I was kind of stuck in this situation where I was going to go on another deployment with these guys, and I was going to be sitting in a plan cell, so I'm going to be an E6. Like,
no squad leader time.
Yeah, no squad leader time. How do you rate a guy like that? How's a guy like that get selected for 7 if he's not gonna? I'm just not gonna measure up well, right?
Yeah.
So, so I decided, somebody had said something about special operations, and I heard about the civil affairs thing, and I thought, lived in Japan for years as a high school student. I have a degree in sociology. Maybe that actually means something. I'm sort of good at foreign languages, and I'm kind of shiesty.
You'll be perfect.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you're going to love this. So I fill out the entire packet, right? And I send it in. And Sergeant Major Rizzo is at that time Master Sergeant Rosado, who is doing the assessment and selection.
Did he still have the awesome mustache back then?
I think he was born with it, probably.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. He had to have been born with it. It is a glorious mustache. It is Tom Selleck-esque.
For those who don't know, Rizzo, whatever you're picturing in your mind, a guy named Rizzo's mustache, that's the one.
Yeah, that's it. It probably has its own workout routine, its own diet. It's amazing.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, it has its own YouTube channel. But so I didn't get selected on the first time.
Yeah.
And the email comes back and says, "We're sorry you weren't selected." And it says if you'd like to reach out and talk about it. So I called. So I'm at BNOC in Missouri, And I have nothing better to do that day. So I pick up the phone and I call him. And I'm like, I said, hey, I have a bachelor's degree in sociology. I speak some Japanese, and I took 4 years of French. I'm a big history guy. I'm an engineer. He's like, oh, you sound like you'd be perfect. I'm like, yeah, I thought so too. Why'd you turn me down? He's like, we turned you down. I'm like, yeah. So he's like, well.
Let me call you back.
He's like, yeah, your PT was at 275. I'm like, yeah. Send me a new PT test with 295. I'm not going to just like
pencil whip it.
Yeah, I worked hard. I've never been good at PT tests. I'm not going to lie. I really wasn't. Also, I was a bit advanced in age at this point in time. I'm in my 30s, right? But anyway, I was in pretty good shape and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it on my own merit. So I resubmitted my packet exactly as it was. And I got selected. Yeah. But that was a...
luck and timing, man. Luck and timing.
Yeah, that was a... now, he did tell me that whatever group I was in, that group of packets that was being looked at, there were like a lot of already like native Chinese speakers, native Russian speakers. Like
luck and timing.
Yeah, luck and timing. Like whatever that counseling that you had at that point in your life with that colonel who kind of told you...
luck and timing.
Luck and timing, yeah. So, anyway, I now I'm interestingly enough, as has happened to many folks in the civil affairs world, I go tell my sergeant major, hey, I've been selected to attend civil affairs training at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to which he says,
I'm so excited for you. What a great career opportunity. I love
exactly. Did you have that exact same experience?
No, when I was leaving the 82nd?
Yeah. So he looks at me and he says, oh, Sergeant Charles, I was just about to give you a squad. I don't think you were.
Yeah, nice try, though.
Yeah, because you're not MTO'd for a 21 November squad leader. So, but thanks.
Nice try, though.
Thanks, but no thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then I was told... I was told that I would regret the decision, that I would never live it any better than when I had been an engineer, which for those of you out there that are engineers know that there's absolutely no truth in that statement whatsoever.
It's not even wrong. It's anti-truth.
Yeah, we are like literally the redheaded stepchildren of the military. Like I don't think there's anything, I don't know, maybe riggers have it worse, but I don't know. Like it was just, so anyhow. So I report to Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
So back then there was no selection.
It was a paper.
It was a paper board.
It was a paper board.
There was no Camp McCall adventure for civil affairs or psychological operations. SF, of course, still did.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's a paper board. You get picked up, and so you show up for the qualification course.
I show up, and it was interesting. Experiences vary, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Again, I like to think I deserve to be there. I did it for 13 years, so I guess I like to think I deserve to be there. Some folks that showed up, though, they were not what they were on paper. Yeah. So
again, for those who are listening, CA and PSYOP were brand new, pulled on to as a branch.
I reported...
plural, branches.
Absolutely.
They've been functional areas for a long time and exclusively on the reserve side, so managed very differently.
Yes, I was selected in July or August of 2008, and Civil Affairs became a branch in 2006.
Yeah.
So they are less than half a decade into existing.
Yes. Yep.
So it was interesting.
You and I would have got paperboarded at the same time, because I did mine... I was in Iraq, so this would have been probably summer of 2007 when I was doing my paper board.
Yeah. I was in Iraq summer of 2007 and came back. I stayed an extra month. That's a whole nother story. But
you were in BIOP?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was way down south.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have we talked about this?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't know. I don't remember. But did you go to the Russian power factory ever? I don't remember what it was
that
called.
far north. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, the Russian power plant that didn't exist because
right.
Nobody was supporting Iraq when Saddam was president.
Not even a little bit. No,
not the French building bunkers.
Right.
No, never happened.
Okay, so Q course. You show up for the Q course.
Yeah, show up for the Q course.
You said it's 08?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. October of '08 is when I reported after jump school.
Okay, so
I had to do jump school and route.
and you did that as a, you've already mentioned you're in your 30s. I mean,
I did that as a 39-year-old
yeah,
male.
you've had a different path
Yes.
than your average.
So I go to jump school at 39.
Yeah.
As an E6, staying in the barracks.
Yeah,
That was a unique experience.
good times.
Oh yeah. I always got the shower whenever I wanted it though.
Fair.
I mean, I would just walk down the hallway with a pair of shower shoes on and people got out of your way.
Clear path.
Yeah. Cleared a path and I got my shower.
So 39. Okay.
Yeah, 39 I went through jump school. I had a it was a Marine airborne instructor was in charge of our platoon. He was an E6, a Hispanic gentleman. Fantastic. Everything I ever thought about a Marine, he was that. Incredible.
So he just walked around chewing on crayons all day?
Pretty much. It was amazing. But he would like literally like his so when you're in airborne school, week 1 ground week, you essentially run down there, right?
Everywhere.
Yeah, you're running.
running
So
everywhere.
he would his his attention, right, face, follow them. that was our move
That's
out.
the preparatory command.
That was the preparatory command. Follow them. And he was fantastic, man. I remember that. But so ground week, you essentially spend an entire week, as you know, learning how to fall, because your entire life you didn't know how to do this correctly. The Army will now show you
The Army will teach you how to fall.
properly fall. A proper parachute landing fall, or PLF.
Yeah, of course.
So I believe, which they also do in these wonderful pits of rocks.
It does beat concrete.
It does, but at 39,
That's fair.
so I think, what was it? You had to stand on like the 2-foot platform, and then he'll tell you right front, right left, whatever he gives you. He'll just give you something, like and you have to kind of in midair figure it out, right?
Yep.
So the line was long, and there's really nothing to do. You're just sort of standing in line, and then you go do a fall, and then you go back to the line again. And you just,
It's a lot of standing around.
Yeah, you do a lot of this for like 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
So I remember I got up to like 5th away from my turn, and I sort of like bent down to tie my shoe, and then kind of walked to the back of the line again. And he catches me, and he goes walking. I was like, "Charles, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Look, Sergeant, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, I'm 39. This hurts. Okay, you go every other one."
Nice. But you got a problem?
Yeah, so he was awesome. He was great. And I went to school. I went to airborne school with some incredible people. So this is like 2008. This is the height of everything we're doing, right? Afghanistan.
08's still the surge. That's kind of the
Yeah,
tail end of
08's
the
the surge in Iraq, right? And then Afghanistan's starting to kick off again. At that
it's
point in
popping
time.
off again.
Yeah, again. So amazing. A fellow of Cuban descent from Minnesota. It was funny. I asked him, I'm like, "So what's your story?" And me being me, I'm a typical Northeastern idiot. I'm thinking like this is a guy from somewhere on the West Coast in a barrio or something, and he's bettering his life by becoming a Marine, right? Now this guy, he's from Iowa, and I looked at him, I was like, "Iowa," and he's like, "We're everywhere, bro." And I was like, "Okay, cool, fair enough." He was a wrestler in high school in Iowa, like state champ. So he goes to Minnesota, right? And he's Big Ten weight class, like either runner-up or something like that, wrestler, and graduates with a mathematics degree in secondary education. And he ends up taking a teaching job in some small town in Minnesota. And he said for 3 years, each town kind of has their thing, right? Like some towns are Navy towns for recruiting, some towns are Marine towns. It's just they do well there, right? For whatever reason, all the kids and the top brightest kids in his school for like 3 years running were signing up to go to the Marine Corps. And he was 26 years old, teaching for 3 years, and he goes home to his wife one day and he's like, "Why are these young kids serving? Why am I not doing my part?" So at 26 years old, he walks down into the Marine Corps office and gives up his teaching gig and becomes basically a PFC in the Marine Corps. And I ran into him at jump school.
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, particularly after 9/11.
Yeah. I had the oldest, they do the oldest paratrooper, youngest paratrooper, and the oldest one was like this 45, actually a guy older than me. He's a captain. He was like 45 years old, and he'd been a lawyer. and he gives up being a lawyer to go be a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
And his wife was a high school administrator, and they both said, "We're going to do our part," and left their jobs, and she joined, and she was a paralegal, and he was a helicopter pilot.
I had a guy in my artillery battery who, I forget which city, but he'd been the first chair French horn player in the Philadelphia Philharmonic Orchestra or something like that. And 9/11 happened. He had a master's degree. He could play basically anything brass. He could play.
Yeah.
9/11 happened. He just dropped everything and enlisted.
Yeah, it's.
I had a guy on my second tour Afghanistan. After 9/11, he was a chef at a Michelin restaurant in New York City. Yeah. And after 9/11, he dropped everything and went off to basic training and did his 4 years, and I assume that he went back to being a professional chef. Yeah, he went back missing a piece of his fingers, but
it's amazing. I'm not a huge proponent of the X-ray program in special operations, which is essentially people from off the street can assess
18X
and get into special operations, special forces, and psychological operations, particularly have the X-ray program. I'm not a huge proponent of it, simply because there's experiences that we all have down there in 82nd Land or Fort Hood or something. There are military life experiences that you cannot duplicate for those X-rays. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean they're not capable of their job. I'm not saying that. I think there are Army life lessons that you can't get as an X-ray.
I agree.
That being said, just some of the folks I've met,
I've known some pretty amazing X-rays.
Yeah, like the one ODA I supported in Afghanistan, the 18 Echo had been he had graduated summa cum laude from Princeton, and
there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, English literature major.
Yeah.
English lit major is amazing. I'm sure his Chaucer is excellent, but
he has Bronte memorized.
Right. So anyway, so I assessed, and I go through. This is civil affairs at that time period is going through a change, right? They were in the process of rebuilding their program of instruction for the students. It was 3 phases. The third phase was language. So it was it language? No, it was the second phase. I don't know. We did language in the middle, I think. But essentially you have an introduction.
They've always moved it.
Yeah. We had an introduction, right? Which really, it was kind of like a history of civil affairs. Mm-hmm. I think it was the same intro I was teaching when I was a cadre member at 3rd Battalion later on.
Yep.
We did that. That was a 2-week portion. Then we all went to language school. Then we came back and did the MOS producing portion, which for us, the culminating exercise was sort of this, I think we went 72 hours of straight ops.
Out in the counties?
Well, it
was a mix.
It started at McCall.
Yeah.
Out of Camp McCall.
Mm-hmm.
And you were essentially out walking around. You could still come back in, but you would go out and run missions for 24 hours of ops. It lasted 2 or 3 days. I can't remember which it was. I remember at one point in time we were doing a briefing and I passed out and fell forward and on my face. And so
I won't confirm or deny if I've ever done that before.
Yeah. To which one of the officers was like, Are you all right? Do you need some rest? I'm like, no, I'm okay. Good. Would you be the team sergeant for this mission for me? So
after he's done kicking you with his foot.
Right. So I'd been, but anyway, we did that, and then we did go out in the counties, and we did that scenario where you go out and, because I remember we assessed a water treatment facility in Scotland County, I think, which was very interesting how our water gets cleaned.
It doesn't start so clean.
No.
It's kind of scary.
It's a little scary. Thank God bacteria works. Another story for another day. But
good bacteria.
Good bacteria. That's right. So, and then, of course, the training was very interesting. This is what I got out of the training, right? Check with legal. That was a big one. They gave us an entire financial class, which was given by an NCO, and I will just say...
I probably know who it is, by the way, but...
I'll just say that English was his second language, which there's nothing wrong with. I'm just not saying that was the guy to give the class.
Yeah.
And yeah, it literally his entire, well, he'd pull up the slide, check with legal,
Yeah.
which check with legal. I was like, okay,
Check with legal.
yeah, check with legal, and I was like, okay, cool.
It's
So,
it's interesting for me. I went a year after you did, and I had been for 15 months in Iraq. I'd been a SERP, so Commander's Emergency Release Program manager for 1st Brigade 82nd. I was still in the 82nd at the time, and so I had 15 months of, we'll just say, lessons learned
Sure.
on the legalities, or not so much on how to properly use this. I mean, it was almost like a slush fund, and I mean, there have been all kinds of congressional inquiries about the whole program after. So I did all that before I went to the Q course.
before you were properly trained.
Well, right. Well, yeah, I always called it practicing without a license. And so when I was going through the Q course, it was almost kind of like an afterthought. Like, hey, here's how this stuff could work. And I would actually, I didn't want to be a smarmy know-it-all, but I would try to say, like, well, you might not want to do it that way. Maybe you want to do it this way. And I don't think the cadre always appreciated that. I tried to be delicate about it, but
I mean,
OJT.
I mean, Roger, I've known you for 10 years now. I is delicate really something that is in his vocabulary?
Damn.
I've known him for over 3 decades.
There you go.
And no,
Oh boy.
Exactly.
No.
Here we go.
Right.
he doesn't do delicate. He doesn't do
No.
humble.
No.
I don't do non-smarmy. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay,
you
all right.
don't.
All right, I'm convicted. So I'm just
Nothing-
gonna, I'm just
nothing
gonna
I
sip
love
my
more
water.
than-
I'm gonna do my Kermit the Frog and sip
Nothing I
water.
love more than when people use the term decimation, and I just watch the vein in Roger's neck start to thump a
Because
little
people
bit.
misuse it.
And of course they do. Of
You
course they do.
decreased by 10%.
That's right. Yeah. The Eagles' secondary is decimated. Oh my gosh, they took 10% of their secondary out and killed them. That's a terrible. That's some tough coaching.
Or
They,
Roman,
were stoned to death by the
or,
rest
or
of the
Roman
team.
decimation. Yeah, that's a,
Yeah. So that's exactly what. Yeah. But anyway, so I graduated in. They took essentially what could have probably been 3 months of training and turned it into a year of my life. Yeah, and I did come out a 2-2 Indonesian speaker. So a 2+,
Bahasa.
2+. Yeah, the Bahasa. Yeah, which I then spent all of my time in CENTCOM deployments.
So,
As did
did you go
everybody.
straight to the 96th?
No.
You went to the 97th first.
I went to the
Okay.
night. So at the
which
time,
is a PACOM unit.
Sergeant
in
Major
PACOM now.
Sergeant Major Tom Wall was in charge of the 95th NCO movements at that time.
Yes.
And he had laid down the gauntlet that no more of filling holes with graduates. We're going to send people to the battalions that they are regionally supposed to be aligned with.
Yes.
When he made such decree, the class that I graduated with was about 60 some odd folks. More than half of us were PACOM folks.
Yeah.
Because it was the perfect storm of folks who had already struggled and not made it through Russian. And at that time, the schoolhouse had a very poor French teaching staff.
Okay.
So French was actually a language that people were struggling with.
Which is generally considered probably the easiest.
One of the easier ones. It's
Yeah.
a romantic language, and most of us have some sort of a semblance because
Correct.
we've taken either French or it's a Latin-based,
Right.
So anyway, they were struggling. So or Arabic was the other one, obviously.
Yeah.
So what they were doing was, because they needed these folks, they were rolling them into Tagalog or Indonesian as a second shot at language. So, which, people will say, oh, Indonesian, you got the easy language. All right, stop. It's still a foreign language.
Yeah.
The advantage, in my opinion, is that where my fellow Russian folks were having to learn a Cyrillic alphabet, or the Arabic folks were learning the squigglies, right?
Ah, the squigglies.
The beauty of it for me was that it was English. Like the letters were
So it's
English.
Latin alphabet.
So it was pretty easy. Because this was the part, ask people like, how do you say computer in Indonesian? What? Computer. Oh, see?
Yeah.
Okay, but how do you say airplane? Pesawat terbang, flying tube. Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're not wrong.
yeah. No, they're not wrong. But the point is, like, it's not as easy as you think. But anyway,
Yeah.
I had a proclivity for it, so I did well.
Yeah.
2+2+, man.
That's good.
But
That's money too.
that was money too. That was nice. But when we got to brigade, 95th, they had green team. Remember that week?
I do.
It was great because all during the CA course, they were like, don't worry, everything will be explained when you get to green team. Yes. Then you got to green team, where I spent an entire week being told, don't worry, everything will be explained to you when you get down to your unit.
Yes, that sounds about right. The regiment was still trying to figure things out.
Sure. I just was excited because I was still part of that. I was bought into this whole idea of the T.E. Lawrence soldier at that time.
Yeah, me too.
Which was what was going on, within the regiment. They were like, Mulholland, Admiral Mulholland had kind of come up with the, like, hey, U.S. SOCOM, like, all of our special operators are going to be like T.E. Lawrence type soldiers, like fighting academics, right? That's the fight. That's like, it feels like it should be a college team name, right? The Fighting Academics. So, so I really was bought into that.
You're all going to go out there and just each by yourself take down the Ottoman Empire from the inside.
Absolutely. Yeah, I felt that way. I really did.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, again, experiences vary.
Sure.
Because I got a little cynical about that for a while until a few times I did end up doing something not quite as kinetic as T.E. Lawrence, but let's just say I found myself in this very small team in a small Asian country, alone and unafraid. That did happen.
Yeah.
Again, we weren't blowing up railroad tracks or anything like that, but figure it out.
Write your own story, though, right?
Figure it out.
Yeah. Well, as a twice deployed CENTCOM guy, I didn't get that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you showed up to the 97th, which is PACOM.
Showed up to the 97th, which is PACOM. But interestingly, they kept myself and 10 other folks that they hand selected, supposedly, to stay behind to essentially test run a targeting course that they were contemplating. And so everybody else reports to the battalions before Thanksgiving. We graduated November 9th. So I spent till after Thanksgiving at brigade, still reporting and taking these courses and doing this stuff that they were piloting. Meanwhile, everybody else gets to the battalions and gets jobs.
Yeah.
So when I arrived at the 97th on the 21st of December 2009 to the S1 asking me why I was there. I was like, because I have orders, look. And then the S1 said, well, we're all on leave. Just come back on the 4th of January? Yeah. Do you want me to fill out a DA-31? No, just come back on the 4th.
That sounds about right.
So I was like, okay. So, and then I actually went downstairs and met, Master Sergeant Smith?
Because I was in the 97th by then.
The medic.
I was in the 3 shop.
Yeah. Oh, were you? Okay.
I reported in October of 2009.
Oh, okay.
We
Interesting.
can talk about this another time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Colonel Michelson was in charge of that. Fantastic. But I remember getting there, and I did stop at the med shed, and Smith, right? The E8 medic, bald guy, as most of us are by our 30s.
Correct. That sounds right.
Yeah, he was the one that was like, oh, well, you can at least knock out your shots for processing because you're in PACOM now. You're going to need some shots. And I was like, cool.
Japanese encephalitis.
Yeah. And so he's like, he looks at my shot record, and then he looks at me and goes, well, I can give you 8 today. That's the max. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I can give you like 2 in each cheek, 2 in each shoulder. Yeah, he's like, I can do.
How many cheeks do you have, Bob?
Right, yeah. So two in the left cheek, 2 in the right cheek, 2 in the left shoulder, 2 in the right shoulder. So he's like, so I just remember like, I'm like, is this safe?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyhow, that was my welcome to CA. So that was pretty cool. And then we ended up, let's see. I was excess when I got there in January. So
surplus personnel.
Yeah. So what Colonel Michelson did was really cool. They were going to bring the echo companies online for each battalion.
Yep.
So he was, instead of sending HHC soldiers to go do PMTs or do training or something like that, he essentially created 2 CA teams with a little mini CMOC minus. And I want to say Major Weatherall had just come back from deployment at that point in time. And he kind of made him a provisional sort of like little team, like a company-esque type leader, right? So they form us into 2 4-man teams. So we've got 2 4-man teams, and because I remember, do you remember Sergeant Corbett?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Corbett was with
Yeah.
me. Yeah, the guy, the triple nickel guy. He'd been in his prior life before coming to special operations. He had been one of those tree jumpers.
Yeah, smoke jumper. Yep.
Yeah, and he told me that his very first jump at airborne school, his chute did not deploy. He had to pull his reserve on his very first jump. And I said,
It's good training right there.
Yeah, I said, you never got me in an airplane again. He goes, no, actually. He's like, I just kind of figured, what are the chances that was ever going to happen again? That's a positive outlook.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done that. So, but anyway, so Corbett was with me, and who else? There was a couple other folks. Anyway, a bunch of us. And they started training us. We went down to Griffin Group. We went to a couple other trainings, went to Tiger Swan, did some stuff.
Yeah.
Started doing some pre-mission. A couple of the guys started going to SEER school. It was winter. I was old. I wasn't going. I was going to wait for the summer.
Better off.
Yeah. So the problem was Major Matsumoto? Kusumoto, yeah. I couldn't remember that. Yeah. Anyway, Kusumoto, yeah. He, I guess at one point he was talking about our provisional CA teams are almost completely trained up. But he mentioned it at a brigade meeting because like everybody in the brigade was like, you have 2 teams that are almost fully trained while we are trying to staff Afghanistan.
I was going to say the 96 started licking his chops, didn't it?
Yeah. So,
Yep.
So a whole bunch of us, they scarfed us up quick when they found out that they had guys who had met large portions of pre-mission training already. They could plug into teams and send them downrange. So Colonel Michelson's idea almost worked. So it was a good idea. And that his idea was also then that if he had, say, for example, he has a team in Thailand, right? And there's a natural disaster, instead of flexing or breaking that team up, he would have teams that were trained back at the home station. He could just punch them out.
Yeah.
And do that.
It's called a reserve.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Great idea.
Armies have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
You commit your reserve.
Yeah, you think it was a cool.
It's wild.
Yeah, cool idea. But myself and a fellow by the name of Tony Nasadis had been selected as 2 of the senior guys. They selected us to stay back because Sergeant Major Wall had some sort of a deal with 3rd Group where we were going and doing Sydney work for them in Afghanistan. We were running the Sydney program, which, don't ask me what Sydney is an acronym for. I don't remember.
It was a CENTCOM, Intelligence, Data Network, something. Yeah.
Sounds good to
Yeah.
me. But essentially that was cataloging all, theoretically, you were cataloging all activities, CMO type activities, civil military operation type activities within an AO, area of operation, right? And then it would give you a database. So I went to the Sydney training.
Yeah.
Where I asked the question, who's using this? Everybody's using it. Great. So Doctors Without, no, not Doctors Without Borders. Oh, Catholic Charities? No, not Catholic Charities.
What about the State Department?
No, not the State Department.
Okay. Well.
So who's using it? Well, everybody. That doesn't sound like everybody to me. Because the idea was, if my team is going into an area, I could go into this database and see what's been done.
Yep.
So I don't duplicate effort.
It was a great idea executed poorly.
Yeah, that's the story of most of my career, from my perspective.
Dan, do you have experiences that are similar?
Yes. Well, great money.
So Tony and I waited, and then the next great, which I guess purge of the 97th happened when they stood up the Echo companies, and Echo Company 96 was the first one to stand up. So they came and culled all the battalions of excess individuals and pulled them into Echo 96th. So that's where I ended up. That's how I ended up in the 96th.
Let's take another break and then we'll pick up from there. All right, Bob, we're in the final segment here. So you're in the CA regiment. You're about to move down to another battalion. Mm-hmm. Let's pick it up from there.
Yeah, so did some pre-mission training with Echo 96th and got promoted to E7. I was a part of one of the that large list that happened in 2000. Yeah, I should probably know when I was promoted. 11. Was it 10? 10 or 11. Anyway, I think it was June of 11. Very large list that got, everybody got picked up. I think actually we didn't make mission on promoting E7s that time because there weren't enough people eligible. So, again, timing, right? Location.
Luck and timing.
Yeah, luck and timing. So I like to think I was worthy of it. I guess it doesn't really matter. I made it.
Well, I mean, the Army wouldn't promote unworthy people.
Oh, that you were serious.
Yeah. I can neither confirm nor deny that through my experiences. So, yeah. Sometimes they promote people just off of whatever's left, you know?
I keep saying it, luck and timing.
That's right. Yeah. Which, you know, kind of makes you feel really bad for the couple folks who didn't make that list that year. I don't know who they are. I really don't. But I do feel bad for
right
them.
now.
The Echo 96 mission we were bumping around all over the place. At one point in time, it was going to be Tajikistan. Another time, it was going to be, where was it? Somalia? I don't know. There was some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh, UAE was one that they had talked about. Bahrain. So the Gulf Cooperation States.
Yep.
Was one mission that they had talked about. And then it was back to Afghanistan, just kind of all over the place.
Just kidding, Afghanistan.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was I ended up moving over to the 92nd and not deploying with the 96th.
Which is an AFRICOM.
92nd?
Or 92nd is Europe. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
excuse
UCOM.
me.
So 92nd had just
UCOM,
stood up.
Thank you.
And they needed team sergeants.
Thank you.
Because we already had a team sergeant.
Yeah.
So when I got promoted, they needed team sergeants over in the 92nd. So I went over to Alpha Company 92nd. And they were going out the door to Afghanistan in January.
Europe, right? No, just kidding. Afghanistan.
Yeah, I know, Afghanistan. So here I am, a 2+ Indonesian speaker who hasn't seen any part of the PACOM Pacific
Rim.
Rim at any point in time. So I ended up doing deployment with Alpha 92nd. We were up in the north of Afghanistan, Kunduz. So first city to turn back after we all left. So that's always
good times.
Yeah, good times. We did we did the VSP program there, where we went out with the operational detachments and we supported them doing their civil military operations, and kind of living alone and unafraid out there in our own little Fort Apache, so to speak. But the Taliban and the insurgents in the north had a very nice understanding with the local government officials. We won't fight you. You don't fight us. We'll wait till the Americans leave, and then we'll sort things out.
That's precisely what happened.
Yeah, So we didn't really have a whole lot of kinetic stuff going on for us.
Yeah.
At all. It was kind of crazy. Yeah. I mean, like, the most kinetic thing I saw was two Afghan local police units having a firefight with each other.
I've seen that.
That wouldn't happen.
I was going to say, I've seen some green on green before. Yes.
Yeah, well, it was funny because they weren't really fighting because all the tracers were going up like this.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So apparently there was a misunderstanding over some. Anyway,
it could be anything.
It could be anything. Wow. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that was the first deployment for CA.
Yep.
When I got back, I put in a senior stabilization because my son Ethan was a senior in high school at Jack Britt at that time, and they sent me. They actually. Sergeant Major Palacios. Mm-hmm. When I got back, he was the 92nd's Sergeant Major at the time. They had to give up, each company had to give up a senior team sergeant. I was actually kind of politicking to join J.D. Radnazi and join his team.
He's a loyal listener of the show.
Is he?
He is.
I love JD. He's awesome. Fantasy football guru, apparently, as well. But I was politicking to try and join JD, but they ended up sending me to the 83rd because I had just re-upped.
They got you.
Yeah. So they and I had reset. That actually reset my clock at Bragg too, because it was a PCS move, but it was
It's
on
considered
Bragg.
a PCS, yeah.
Yeah, so that actually helped me out.
Major commands, yeah.
Yeah. So that was went over the 83rd, and I ended up at Delta Company, 83rd, with Mike Veglucci as my team leader.
Which was that the GRF?
No,
That happened later then.
that happened afterwards.
Okay,
we went to Afghanistan
Yeah,
as a battalion.
Yep.
Colonel Wolf was in charge at that point in time, and but Delta Company stayed the longest of anybody over there. So it's kind of funny. Like the battalion came back, and they were like, "All right, deployment's over." We're like, "But it's not. There's still some of us over here." Yeah. So Mike and myself were at FOB Airborne. Yeah, it was a unique time over there because the Afghans were taking the lead on everything. So it was what was that? The OCCP. I'm trying to remember what that stood for. But it was essentially what it was every concerned organization with Afghan national defense. Whether there's an outpost or an office, so to speak, right? It was something cooperation, but you had the ANA, the Afghan National Army there. You had the Afghan National Police representatives there. You had the ANCOPs, right? You had the sort of like the Border Patrol folks. Who else did they have there? I think that was pretty much everybody. But essentially they were all, NDS was there. The sort of, which is the Afghan version, sort of like the FBI or CIA or whatever. They had this, and it was a general, so a one-star general was in charge of running this. And they sent Sergeant First Class Charles and Captain Mike Veglucci to advise the one-star general who was 79 years old and had survived from the Royal military all the way through the Soviet years, all the way through the Taliban, and for us to advise him on what to do.
I'm sure you wanted to hear from the 29-year-old captain.
Yeah.
That dude was a survivor.
Yeah, he was. So General Nawab was his name. I would love to know what happened to him. The only time he was not in service to his country was during the first Taliban regime. He said, we said, "What'd you do?" He's like, I went back to farming. It's like, oh, yeah. So he was. I wish I wanted to write a book of Nawabisms.
The one-liners.
This guy was. I just remember. So this was during the election. We were there in 12, 13-ish. Yeah, 12, 13. We came back. So it was during the election. And there was a huge push. They wanted searching females at the election booth. So they sent, I think, 100 females to Kabul to be trained in how to pat people down. Then they were supposed to go back to their province or their towns and teach another 10 how to do it and everything like that. And so they were very interested in how, because we're in Wardak province, so we're in the east, right? RC East, and at this time around at FOB Airborne there, and it's very interesting. We ask him like, "Hey, what's your plan for the females? Like that are gonna." Anybody who knew anything about Afghanistan knew that the females probably weren't going to vote. That the head of the family was going to collect up all of the voting cards and bring them to the balloting place. That was what was going to happen. So General Nawab was like, well, me and a couple of my buddies, we're just going to have a couple drinks and stand outside the polling place and, feel up a couple gals. So we, like...
Inshallah.
Yeah, we had to, I remember poor Mike. We had to ask these questions, right? Like, I know what it was. There was a big request from higher up. what are you doing for National Women's Day? What are we going to do for National Women's Day? Right? Like in the area.
Yeah.
And we had just had an IED go off on the road leading up to the OCCP, right? And there was a huge our PTIDs, the balloon, had seen them emplacing it. So we called over to them and said, hey, there's guys emplacing an IED in the roadway. And so the OCCP guys called all their people and said, hey, don't come into work tomorrow. There's an IED in the road. So they didn't. But the construction workers drove up the road and it went off on them and like injured them pretty bad and stuff like that. So we had to go over and sort of like post-mortem this thing and like what happened. And so we're having this long discussion where essentially everybody's showing us their call logs like, hey, we did exactly what we're supposed to do. So it worked, right? The whole OCCP thing worked for communication, and it was a coordination cell of all these government entities. So they coordinated. They just didn't tell the construction workers.
Yeah.
So we're over there having it, and at the end of this, as this entire meeting is done, General Nawab says, so you guys got anything else you need? And Mike's like, yeah, General Nawab, what are you going to be doing to celebrate Women's Day here in Wardak?
In Eastern Afghanistan.
In Eastern Afghanistan. We had to ask these ridiculous questions.
I've been there.
Yeah. The last one I'll tell you is election.
To take the deep breath.
Yeah. Election day was, they wanted us to ask what his plan was for soldiers to vote, which we already knew. Like, when they're not on duty, they'll go vote if they want. So I remember we're walking, and General Nawab loved Rippets.
Who doesn't?
Rip
Yeah.
it good.
Yeah, so he loved Rippets. So as long as we took him, he liked the white ones. So as long as we took him a white Rippet. So I would take him, and I'd hand him, I always go hand him one because I knew he liked them. It's just our little thing. And he says, well, what do you want to ask me about? And I said, I'm so sorry, I have to ask you this question. He goes, no, I understand. I said, really, this is so stupid. He's like, look, as long as you keep giving me Rippets, you can ask me anything you want. So, yeah. So his response was exactly what I expected, which was, he's like, well, Bob, some of the guys are working from the morning till noon, then they can go vote. And the guys who come in to replace them at noon, well, they can vote in the morning. Thank you, General Nawab. I kind of figured that's what you were going to do anyway.
So what was the plan for National Women's Day?
I don't know, something about him and his buddies getting drunk, and it was not, yeah.
During that time frame, because you said this is what, 2013?
Yeah.
During that time frame, they were really pushing the women's stuff.
Yeah.
And there were all over Kabul, Kandahar, all the major cities, there were giant billboards of join the ANA, join the ANP for women. Mm-hmm. And it would show that the Afghan females in uniform. And I remember just like driving down the road, and I would ask, mm-hmm. like, is this actually working? And some of our local partners were like, no, it's not.
Yeah. So there was right outside of it was Maidenchar, I think Maidenchar was the city there. Maidenchar? Yeah, it was Maidenchar. Right outside of Fob Airborne there, across the street, was the Afghan National Police Logistical Distribution Center, right? And so one of the advisors on Fob Airborne was a warrant officer who was a logistics advisor down there at this where they did the distribution and everything. So they would constantly, somebody would come in, the advisor would come in, and it was like everything had to be red blocks. Like, they don't know what they're doing, da-da-da-da. And that way, by the time when you leave, it's all green blocks now.
Progress.
Because we're making progress. But the reality was, they had a computer system and the inventory and everything like that. That's not how they did business. They kept the logbook underneath. So when the Americans came, they would put the logbook away and turn the computers on, but the inventory never matched what was in their possession. So it was always like, oh, they're stealing, they're doing this, they're doing that. It's like, no, they're running an analog system that has worked for them. So
we wonder why none of our metrics ever lined up with reality. And It's a whole story for another day.
Yeah, they built a. We were talking to a Corps of Engineer guy in Kabul. I guess they had built a state of the art police station. Like, like the buzzers, like you have to have a pass to go through, and the doors and everything, the holding cells and all this other stuff. They have the whole ceremony, and they open it and everything like that. And so then they go back 3 months later, and like 3 cops are standing around like a 55-gallon drum inside the building with a fire in it because everything's gone. The computers are gone.
The
The
copper
wiring's
wires
gone.
ripped out of the walls.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of our efforts during those deployments were
There was the story, and this would have been in the late 2010s, I believe, that they built the new MOD headquarters for like $106 billion, or whatever ludicrous amount it was. And they did the big grand opening, and the head of the MOD or whoever it was said the window in his office wasn't big enough, and so he wouldn't be using that as his headquarters, which defeats the entire purpose.
Yeah. It was.
Sometimes you just got to have high standards.
Well, I think more of what happened was a fundamental misunderstanding of what we try to do in civil affairs, which is what we should be doing in civil affairs, which is finding local solutions to local problems. I know that I do know there were all kinds of mistakes. Regular units in Afghanistan were paying people to clean ditches, right? Because that's where IDs went and stuff like that. But the reality was, like, if you didn't pay them, they still would have cleaned the ditches because that's how irrigation and flooding was prevented. And,
Yeah.
like, we started paying people to do things that they were already doing.
And then you start creating inflation in the area because you
Sure.
flooded the area with cash, and then
Yeah.
That was an issue that we started realizing even as early as 2002 with fresh influx of American soldiers who, believe it or not, need their lickies and chewies.
Yeah.
And there's no PX or anything
Yeah.
in 2002, and so they're paying American dollars into the local economy for the stuff that they want or need.
the first GI that paid $5 for a Pepsi lost us the war.
Yes,
It's probably
but
not
it
untrue.
probably wasn't a Pepsi. It was probably a pack of smokes.
Yeah. Alpines, right?
Pine 88s.
Yeah, that's what they were, the Pine 88s, yeah. We had, I realized some of the futility. One of the projects that we did was, there was a small town that we went to. The idea was the team that we worked with, this is my first deployment, the team that we worked with, the ODA, they would get the ALP up and running, and we would reward ALP towns that were doing well, like I don't know what the metrics were essentially, but essentially we believed they were doing well by trying to come behind and do some sort of like a project, right? So in one of the towns, they had actually had a prior Taliban commander who had flipped and joined the ALP. I don't know, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but there was suddenly when he flipped, there was a huge decrease in Taliban activity in the town. So I don't know. Maybe they were all on the ALP with him. I don't know. But so it had gone. So to reward them, the kids they didn't have a schoolhouse, right? And part of the problem was that they were complaining that their district hadn't taken care of them. Well, so we go to the district to find out what's going on. The district's like, no, we're not building a school there because a Swedish NGO had promised to do it. So when they were passing out new schools at the district level, they were like, we don't have to worry about this town because they already have one from this Swedish NGO, some telecom company or something like that was doing good works. So, come to find out, like, well, now, that's not in our budget as a team to do, right? But what can we do? These kids are literally meeting, like, in a open, just sort of like field, like underneath a tree when it's hot in the shade, or just, that's how and the teachers are teaching them. So they're going to school, they just don't have a school. So what can we do? Hey, let's get them some tents, right? Because they actually, at the bazaar, they have a tent guy. I had a tent guy, right? So this is great. This is such a win for us. This is fantastic, right? So we have CERT money, we have discretionary funds. Find out you can get a huge tent down there for, let's say, I don't know, equivalent of $1,000 US, right? I can send my terp down there, my interpreter down to the market to purchase it. They come back. We send the ANA SF team with their cultural support guys. They take it. So Afghan people are helping Afghan people take some pictures, right? And I'll report it, but like I'm not doing anything. Like this is so good. This is a win-win-win-win, right? Everybody wins. Guess what the tent said on the side? UNHCR.
Yeah.
So we donated tents.
If you've ever read the book The Ugly American, this is literally out of that, where it's a fictional recounting of us doing CA type stuff in a fake Southeast Asian country, Vietnam. And one of the vignettes in the story in the book is us donating bags and bags and bags and bags of rice to this after natural disaster. These people are starving, blah 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 blah.
Right.
And blank sacks and bags. And Soviet agents are sitting there as these things are getting offloaded and just spray painting a hammer and sickle on everything as it's coming off the boat. So they're taking credit for all this stuff. It's
love it.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So like I always tell. So that kind of leads me into, if I may, to just kind of progress things along, right? That would used to be what I would tell students when I was at 3rd Battalion.
Okay. Schoolhouse.
Yes. Yeah. So after some time, a stint as a CMOC NCOIC, non-commissioned officer in charge in the 83rd, I came back from, and I did one of your previous interviewees, Mr. Brian Pico, First Sergeant Pico, asked me to come over and be his civil military operations cell non-commissioned officer in charge. So I did that for a while. And when that was done, I had requested to go to the schoolhouse. That didn't work out. I ended up going to Korea for a year, where I got to meet you.
That's right.
And learn all of your isms.
Do you have a clever name for that?
What? The Vogelisms?
Vogelisms, okay.
I don't know. Maybe we'll...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so, well, it was always fun with Roger in Korea because we would take turns being what we called the designated drinker.
That's true.
So
it
was rock paper scissors for designated drinker.
The rock officers, they drank every single night, and we had to space ourselves out. So
yeah, we were not. Yeah, so it was always one of us took one for the team. So
no more soju. No.
Yeah.
No mas.
Oh, it's terrible.
Roger likes the pink soju.
The grapefruit flavored. Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. That's what you brought me for my retirement. Oh. The best part was sharing that with other people and having them realize that my time in Korea was not as enjoyable as they all thought it was. Yeah. So,
all right. 3rd Battalion.
3rd Battalion. So I finally got back. I finally got to go to 3rd Battalion because my passion throughout my whole life has always been teaching. I've always believed. I think my grandfather was an educator for 30 years in the New York city school system. My mother was an educator. It just it's in my blood. I love it. So to marry up the military and education, 3rd Battalion, and I had some unique experiences. When I moved from the 95th to the 85th, I was one of only 5 team sergeants who had a deployment with both the 85th and the 95th.
Yep.
So I had a unique perspective there. I think what we did working for 2ID, right, and in the 9 position there, a grossly underestimated position within the
we
military.
did a lot of really good stuff.
I think we did.
There. We did.
I think we did some really good things, but I think for me personally, that stint taught me more about how the Army worked, being on a 2-star staff, than anything could have ever taught me. My crowning achievement, and I think you were still there for it, when they were getting ready to do the change of command. I don't think you had left yet, but
You left before I did.
Yeah, when they were doing the change of command for the 2-star for 2ID, They had planned out like an entire month of activities.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was ridiculous. and
It was the 100-year.
Yeah, it was also the 100-year. Yeah, 100 years of
Second to none.
Yeah, second. Yeah. But the interesting thing about it was this young captain comes running into the G9 office, and I've got an op order here, and this is going to be super G9 heavy. And I didn't get crazy or anything like that. I said, okay, let's sit down and let's take a look at this. Let's see. All right. So I was like, well, okay, that right there, that's actually your PAO, sir. That's not us.
Public affairs and civil affairs are not the same thing.
Yeah, public affairs and civil affairs are not the same thing. That's your PMO, sir. Your PMO will take care of that.
Provost Marshal.
Yeah. Right? Not the G9. That's actually your office does that. Right? The best part was, like, I had learned how the staff worked to the point where he came and he did have like 20 things that he wanted to task us with. When he left, there were like 3. And it wasn't me smooth talking him into taking them off the list.
Developing a young officer.
Yes, I was developing that young officer. And yeah, it was cool. So I learned a lot about the Army. So it was a good experience.
There's a salty major somewhere nearby that had been looking for an opportunity to club a captain, and you prevented that from happening.
I did. I didn't. Any salty majors?
Who could it possibly be?
Majors. I don't know any salty majors. So.
At what point?
Go ahead.
At what point did you know that it was time to hang it up? Because I mean, you've been in since '87.
Since the Reagan administration.
Right. Like, it was the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
No, but whatever. 87. Oh my gosh, it was Reagan.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's funny. Yeah. So, honestly, I had made a decision that I was kind of done as soon as I hit 20, as soon as I was eligible, which turned out to be a lot faster than could have been a lot faster.
Creeps up fast.
Yeah. If I'd have gone and done, I have to do, a 15-6 is an inquiry. It's
a commander's inquiry.
Yeah, but it's not an actual. It's an investigation So you do a 15-6 when you do your whole time in the military. They do the same thing. It's on the same form. They do it all. And anyway, the guy, when he went in and took all my contracts and everything like that, and this of course happened during COVID. I retired during COVID.
Yep, me too.
And so they had to go back to DFAS to get the microfiche of my pay records and my original contracts and stuff. And at that time in Indianapolis, there was one guy going into work
who knew how to deal with the microfiche.
Who knew how to do the microfiche, and he was doing it for all 4 services. So I put my request in, and when I got all that stuff back, it turns out I could have retired.
I think this is the first time that we've actually talked about the microfiche on the show. So very briefly explain it.
So prior to records being computerized,
digital,
digitized, which I believe took place at Defense Finance and Accounting Systems, DFAS. I believe that went digital in 93 or 94 timeframe. So that means that everybody who served prior to that, all of the archives would just be way too big if they had actual still paper copies. So everything was snapped onto microfilm pictures. And you literally would have to get the film out and scan the film to the same way we used to do research for, well, the kids don't know now, but we used to do that at the library to do research on newspapers and stuff like that.
And at every... oh gosh, why am I blanking? There was one station on each post where you could go and you could look at your microfiche, and they had the reader.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the office.
I don't know, but it was in records or something like that.
I can't remember, but they were giant.
Yeah.
Giant.
Yeah, there was a big window that you could.
Filing cabinets and everything with all that stuff in there, and you had the reader.
Yep.
And you would,
Yeah, so that guy had to do it. And then, of course, he had to copy it all and send it to me. which he copied onto a computer. Anyway, so as soon as I was eligible, I was like, I'm done. Because when I retired with over 20 years of active duty service. And but I was being paid. This is kind of the beauty of it. I was being paid for over 27 years of total service.
Right.
So I'm finding out a lot of a lot of peers in my age group. I was very irritated that I didn't make E8. It was my goal. My goal was to make E8. So when I was on active duty, that kind of bothered me that I didn't, because I had over 30 months of rated E8 time on NCOERs.
Right.
But,
Luck and timing.
Luck and timing, right? Luck and timing.
And things like that start mattering less after you retire.
Well, when it literally is about $100 a month difference in retirement pay. And I'm going to be honest with you, if I am that desperate for $100 a month, I have made far greater mistakes than not making E8.
There you go.
So I would agree. It doesn't matter as much now. So I don't know. For me, it was time. I ended up coming off when I was at 3rd Battalion. So 3rd Battalion is the civil affairs producing battalion at the Special Warfare Center and School. And I was there as a cadre member. Actually, when Roger came back and took his job.
That's one of my favorite jobs that I had in the Army.
Yeah.
Hands down.
I loved being around the students. Loved taking the time to mentor and talk to them, answer their questions. I tried to give them better than MET-TC. Which
depends.
Yeah, which is the official Army "it depends" answer, and it does depend. It really does.
It does depend.
But I would tell them, I would always, in improv use the term caveat, but I always caveat what I would say with essentially, this was my experience.
Yeah.
Right, and I can't speak to working with a Ranger task force in Somalia, because I didn't do that. Right, I could tell you what a 2-star G9 looks like. I could tell you what a VSP looks like, and even VSP experiences varied wildly. I had people in my own company who were in constant ticks all the time.
Yeah,
and
troops in contact.
Yeah, troops in contact.
It is, from my experience, it is easier to get your lesson across by incorporating personal experience.
Absolutely.
It's not just words on a slide or words on a page anymore. If you're actually incorporating your own experience into it, it may not be directly applicable,
right?
But certain aspects of it.
The other thing I would do is I would encourage people, if they had questions where I knew a fellow cadre had better answers for their particular question, I would point them in the direction of those cadre and say, I didn't have this experience, but I do know that Sergeant so and so did, and if you want to ask him, he'll answer that for you. But some of the best people I've ever worked with in my military career was at 3rd Battalion.
Yeah, same.
Just hands down. Cared, wanted to make the regiment better. I think if those people were actually in charge of the direction of CA, we probably would be
a little better off.
Floundering less.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Bob. So,
yes, sir.
From being born and raised in Amish country to swearing in during the Reagan administration.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Multiple MOS changes, moving all over the place.
And getting your sociology degree.
Managing a CC's. And firing the cook, your monster.
Yes.
Coming back on active duty, or coming on to active duty, I should say, after 9/11, multiple combat deployments, serving a year, God forbid, in Korea with me, and instructing. Would you do it all again?
I would gladly do it all again. I tell my son, who is in E6 currently now, I didn't let the Army define me. Okay, I didn't, but there's no doubt that my service and all the things that I have done defines my contributions in life and the things that I've done. I mean, in terms of what is significant that Bob Charles has contributed to this world, this country,
whatever this is.
Whatever this is. Yeah, it's So in that sense, it's defining. Yeah, absolutely, I would do it all over again. And I don't think I could have done it without the support of my wife.
Amen to that.
She's the one, and I will say this, I said it in my retirement, which Roger presided over as the officer.
It's true. It was the happiest day of my life.
Yeah.
Kicking you out of the Army.
Yeah. But yeah, my wife was the whole reason that I actually did 20 years. She had seen me bounce around as an unemployable sociology major. She had seen me bounce around trying to find my way, and she saw that I had purpose, and I knew my why. And so when I chose to go active duty during that ACRC back in Kuwait, her only comment over the phone was, if we do this, we do it to the end.
It's a good woman.
So yeah, so that was it. I mean, that's, yeah. I tell everybody my transition's been fantastic into civilian life. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I work as a GS employee at SWIC as an instructor. I teach cadre how to become cadre. So I still drive through the Fort Bragg gate every morning. And
your fix every morning.
I still hear "Good morning, Sergeant Charles." So I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that I've really left. So maybe that's why my transition has been so easy.
You just got better facial hair this time around.
I get paid better.
That's that too. Well, we can't thank you enough, brother, for coming on and sharing with us today. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, this has been great. Well, Raj, you have known Bob for quite some time. I've known
about
him.
a decade.
I've known him for just the last few years.
Yeah.
But I was unaware that during his break-in service, he had mastered the art of Cece's Pizzeria.
and put on some LBs.
Yeah, he said
as one would.
He said like 20 pounds. He said in like the first year of being out, he put on 20 pounds.
That's a lot of pizza.
That's a lot of delicious dessert pizza.
I was always more partial to the taco pizza or the Mexican pizza, whatever you want to call it.
Honestly, I haven't been to Cece's in quite some time.
My children have.
We loved it as kids.
Yeah, well, as teenagers, we did.
Yeah, you and me and a bunch of our friends.
The high school crew. Yeah.
would frequent that place. Amazing. Good memories. But this is about Bob, not our love of pizza.
Oh.
In almost every form. If you had showed up, let's take, for example, your tour in Korea. If you had showed up in Korea expecting to do a 1-year tour, and then they said, surprise, it's a 2-year tour, what do you think that your wife's reaction would have been to that?
When he went to Panama.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. My young, beautiful bride would not have been happy with that situation.
I don't imagine. So either. I don't imagine that any bride would have been like 1 year. Now it's 2.
Yeah.
1 year was bad enough already, but
right.
My goodness, 2 years. 2 years in Panama, where everything bad for you is cheap and readily available.
I didn't experience this personally. A lot of GWAT veterans did, of being either extended or worse, coming home and then turning around and having to go back over. You had to do one of those, didn't you?
No.
I thought you did. Okay, so.
No. I mean, it was almost a year on the nose.
Yeah.
But it was still.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough my deployments were more or less, honored as far as, the timing of what they said it was going to be. But a lot of guys and gals didn't get that.
When we went to Afghanistan in 2001, we weren't given a...
Well, you weren't given a backstop.
Yeah.
So there's that.
We didn't even know where we were going when we were on the way there.
Yeah, I could see how that might be tense.
Yeah. But, man.
But there's worse places you could be extended, I suppose.
Yeah. He came in at the end of the Cold War.
Yes.
And the way that he looked at things about, not just, reserves and being active or activated and then, getting out and then coming back in. He mentioned several times that it was really about his family and what was best for his family.
Yeah.
He talked about when they moved back up to Pennsylvania, and he was doing construction, and it was highs and lows. It was lots of work and good pay to then put, when you can't build anything, now you're pulling unemployment through the winter months.
Feast and famine. Yeah.
But the military does provide that stability. And then he also mentioned the healthcare portion.
It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, the military does give that stability.
Yeah.
In certain facets.
It's stable.
Obviously.
It's stable instability. If you can understand that oxymoron.
Yeah.
Those who know.
Yeah. What a wild ride. I don't know. I don't know if I'd had, an extended break in service, if I would have come back in.
Yeah.
And he had tried to come back in several times.
They wanted to take rank.
They wanted
if that's not take rank, but
they were like, oh no, just enlist and then you can be an officer later. It's like, meh.
Do you remember when we did our episode with Scott Story? He got out he was a special forces officer. He got out as a captain and then desperately wanted to come back in. And he was even considering enlisted to come back in. And they were even trying to hose him on that too.
Yeah, like, you'll be a specialist, but you'll go to the board immediately. And he's like, that's not the way
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Man, it was a different time.
Yeah. The military of today is not the same military as it was 20 years ago, which is not the same military as it was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
as you and I both retired here in the last few years, me more recently than you. It is true. 20 plus years from the time you entered to exit, it is a completely different entity. The Army goes rolling along. I can't speak for the other services. I have to imagine that this holds true for them as well. Yeah. But the Army will indeed go rolling along without you.
Yeah. But, man, Bob definitely showed that.
Yeah.
And we could have talked to him for so much longer. He's an awesome guy.
So for those who haven't figured this out yet, Bob and I are close, and we've had a lot of conversations, some of them deep, some of them not so much. But awesome guy.
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
I first met Bob before I was even retired.
Yeah.
You and I went over to his house and
little shindig.
Met one of his boys at a little shindig.
Yes.
While I was just freshly on my retirement leave, I believe.
Yeah, it would have been thereabouts.
Yeah. Good guy, man. I don't know. Maybe we can record a Tracer Burnout After Dark session with him sometime.
Bob can tell. He's a storyteller. Some people just have the gift, and he's got it.
Yeah, he certainly does. But you got anything else on Bob?
I don't. I've had enough of Bob. Thank you. Thank you very much. Love you. And my wife and I both love his wife Jill as well. She's an amazing gal. So
27 years
and counting.
Yeah, incredible. You'll be there one day.
We're on our way.
Yeah.
On our way. 17 and counting.
Yeah.
Yes, I can count.
I can vouch for the veracity of this.
All right.
What do you got for me?
Free fire area. You were in the free fire area. This is our second one of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I had this question ready to go before you and I took our lunch and had a conversation. So for the record, this was already in the queue. If you could exist in any fictional universe, what would it be? And if you can elaborate, why?
Fictional universe, like science fiction?
That would be part of it, yes.
Or like an altered timeline, like what if the South had won the Civil War, kind of thing.
That would count, yeah.
Or what was that? What was that one show? I never watched it. It was based off a book, The Man in the High Castle.
Man in the High Castle.
Something
it's
like
an
that.
Alternative ending to World War II.
Yeah.
I never read the book or saw. I saw the first 2 seasons of the show, so I don't know how it ended. But it was. I mean, the first 2 seasons were good.
I don't know. On the one hand, I think it would be pretty cool to live in like the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the only way I'm ever going to get to play with a lightsaber. I mean, let's be honest.
He says play with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like he's 7 years old.
Come on, dude. Does it matter how old you are? If you get an actual functioning lightsaber in your hand, what is the first thing you're doing? But then again, I could have wound up a moisture farmer, and
on the twin sons of Tatooine.
Generally speaking, what a boring existence.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have been a frequenter of Mos Eisley Cantina.
So you would have been part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy?
Absolutely. I would have been probably part of the villainy versus the scum, but, whatever. Yeah, I think I'd go with that for like a science fiction, but and alternative timeline for history. I don't know. I'm pretty big on personal hygiene, so if you go back into, too far,
Victorian England.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about some like everybody, oh man, I wish I could be a Viking. Do you? Do you really? Do we need to talk about some of the lack of cleanliness,
hygiene or lack thereov?
Yeah, during the Iron Century? No, I don't think so. No, I'd love to be a pirate. Would you? Would you really? Let's talk about scurvy, shall we?
Oh, those limeys.
No. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go with a completely made-up alternate reality.
Okay.
And I'm going to stick with the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be so gifted as to be a bounty hunter.
Bounty hunters. We don't need that scum.
So maybe I would fall into the scum portion. Yeah.
Captain Payet, for those who are keeping track, is the only Imperial officer. Well, there's two. Veers and Pyatt are the only two Imperial officers to make it into 2 movies because Vader keeps killing them. So.
I believe that Veers was not in the original Return of the Jedi. He was in the extended version.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's right.
Yeah. On a side note, AT-ATs. What a terrible idea.
It worked right up until it didn't.
Let's put a giant troop transport full of hundreds of stormtroopers with
heavy
with dual cannons on a completely immobile head, no other defenses whatsoever, on top of 4 toothpicks that move very, very, very
extremely
slowly.
top heavy steel moving structure.
Yeah.
I guess the Empire was so used to smacking everybody around that they didn't really have to put a lot of thought into some of these designs just because it's good to be king.
It looks scary.
Yeah.
That'll be good enough.
Same thing with the chicken walkers, the ATSTs.
Yeah.
Dan and I are really showing our nerdy bona fides here because my answer was also the Star Wars universe, although it would be the original trilogy universe.
There are only 3 Star Wars.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. So not the extended with all the other movies and all that stuff. It gets real weird real fast. Count me out. So the original trilogy universe.
Yeah.
But since you already used that answer, I'll go to my plan B, which would be probably, I kind of like the whole steampunk Victorian England thing. So not a particular story per se, but I like the steampunk stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever watched the Key and Peele sketch?
I don't think I have.
I'll show you after.
Okay, is that why you're smiling?
I'll show you after we're done recording.
Good Key and Peele reference here. Okay.
But anytime that I think of the whole steampunk, I don't know, what would you call it? It's very fashionable for a certain group of people, I guess. What do you call them? Steampunkers?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't know.
They'd probably have much snazzier handles than
probably.
You and I are dating ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean they have top hats with clocks on them and stuff like that. I don't know, the whole thing.
I mean, would I wear that stuff right now? No, but I'm saying that would have been cool to live in that universe.
I suppose.
My neighbor, Dr. Jekyll, would agree. And this is
Yeah.
going off the
Okay.
rails.
Yeah, this is going off the rails. I do not know enough about steampunk to really give a solid opinion. It just seems kind of odd to me. Not necessarily bad, but it just seems kind of weird to me.
Well, that's bizarre coming from you, considering your favorite movie is Wild Wild West.
Oh, man.
That counts as steampunk. I mean, it
Does
counts.
it?
It does.
I haven't seen that movie since...
I don't think
It was in
anybody's seen that movie since the 90s.
It was in the Dollar Theater when we were like 14.
I was going to say, it was kind of like mid to late 90s. More like mid 90s. Yeah. Yeah. Will Smith was on top of his game when that movie came out. So he took a flyer on that one, and he was able to recover, but mercy me.
Well, he was able to recover for a little bit. But
Will Smith is a cautionary tale, gentlemen. Choose your spouses wisely.
yeah, that's the truth.
Okay. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yes.
In our going off the rails here at the end. We hope you liked Mr. Charles' story. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Check us out on all the social medias. We're everywhere except TikTok.
Yep. And leave us a rating, a review,
Yeah,
a thumbs
please.
up, a like, a subscription.
It really helps.
Share with anybody and everybody that you come along with. If you can share with just one person who's never heard the show before, we'd
The
appreciate it.
downloads really help the show, and so do the reviews, y'all. So please.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got anything else?
I don't.
It's great to be in 2026.
Indeed. Remember, your service matters. We do still have two hot cameras over there.
I don't care.
Okay.
I put in Key and Peele ST and Steve Punk comes up. There you go.